And welcome in on a Monday morning, the final day of January. And what a weekend, Patrick Perrette, Jen Jensen. We got you covered. I don't know where you guys even want to go to start today. Is it Tom Brady news? What may be Tom Brady news? Or does Tom Brady just absolutely despise Adam Schefter now and stick around for one more season? Is that the way it goes? Is it a championship weekend that Patrick somehow, some way lived up to the hype? I think that we expected. I mean, how about, how about well, maybe I think that the right exactly that's what I'm saying. It was a weekend that we hoped we would get good games. We hoped we would get some upsets. Maybe I think we were hoping for the Bengals to win. We got the Bengals
Yep.
winning. We got the Bengals winning in
Well,
overtime.
and even as close as halftime, or after probably about 3 drives into the game, we thought it was going to be a blowout, and just said, "Okay, well, that sucks." I didn't turn the game off. I switched it to my laptop because I knew my girlfriend didn't want to watch it, and I told her, if this is going to be a blowout, I'm not going to make you just sit here and watch it. So I'll put it on my laptop, and you can have the TV. And we put on Ozark on the TV, and I just watched it on my laptop. And then in the fourth quarter, switched it back to the TV because they somehow clawed back. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, that's exactly pretty much how to describe it. Unbelievable. I mean, it really was a fantastic weekend of games, and certainly it's highlighted by Cincinnati going into Kansas City and pulling off the pretty big shocker. I mean, look, it's not like they were double digit underdogs. They were 7 point underdogs, and Patrick, you and I kind of
You're
teased
never
around
actually a
with it.
double-digit underdog though in a championship weekend. Though.
I don't know. I don't know. I feel like this one would have been as close as we would have seen. But I guess you and I teased around the idea last week of the Bengals being plus 800 to win the Super Bowl, and
Yep.
you kind of saying, if you believed that the Bengals could win this game, this would be the tougher of the two games to try and win the Super Bowl. And Joe Burrow yesterday, efficient, 23 of 38, 250 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Somehow, some way, the Bengal offensive line comes together and only allows one sack. I think that might have been the number of the day. Former Clemson standout T. Higgins has the big day for the receiving group as he has 6 catches for 103 yards. Jamar Chase had 6 catches, but he was held a little bit more in check with just 54 yards, but he did have a touchdown catch. That seemed pretty big. And Patrick, on the flip side of things, Kelsey and Hill for Kansas City, they produced more like we thought they would produce. 10 catches for Travis Kelsey for 95 yards, 7 for 78 for Tyreek Hill. Both had a touchdown receiving. But in the end, it is overtime. It is a coin flip. It is getting the ball first, and it's actually defense that wins the game.
Well, and I was so sure that when Eli Apple dropped that interception, it was over. I mean, I was sure that it was over. That was going to be the most agonizing because it actually ended up being true for the 49ers. Jaquaski Tart dropping that interception, super easy interception. I thought that was going to be the lasting image for 30 years for Bengals fans is Eli Apple having an easy interception in Chiefs territory to start overtime that would have almost guaranteed a win just like that. But somehow I just don't I'm not smart enough. I'll be excited to watch people break this down what the defense actually did in the second half because the first 3 drives, the first 3 touchdown drives for the Chiefs were so effortless. I mean, they just were methodical, just working it down the field. The first drive was 11 plays, 84 yards, took off like 6 minutes. It was chunk after chunk after chunk after chunk, and then Mahomes scrambles and hits Tyreek Hill in the back of the end zone. It's just so easy for them. Same thing next drive, chunk, 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 and then scrambles, crazy scramble, and finds Travis Kelsey. And you just thought, all right, well, the Chiefs are going to score on every drive. They're going to do what the Bills did a couple weeks ago, and there's nothing that the Bengals can do to stop them. But I don't understand what happened. Maybe it was the pass rush. I mean, you saw Trey Hendrickson in the backfield quite a bit. Maybe it was the defensive backs tackling. I don't know because you look at Travis Kelsey and Tyreek Hill's numbers, and you say they had a pretty big game. But at least for Tyreek Hill, I don't even think he had a catch until the last drive or overtime. They completely kept him off the board in the second half. whatever changes the defense coordinator for the Bengals made, you have to just applaud him this morning because it worked like a charm. It was amazing.
So that was the early game yesterday, and we'll talk more about this. Patrick Pratt's got his thoughts from the couch, his weekend thoughts from the couch that we'll get into. Okay, all right. His thoughts from Nashville is more of how we'll label it, but certainly he's I think about wrapped up Ozark. While he won't give away spoilers, maybe he'll get into that a little bit. There was a drive up to Nashville that maybe he'll talk about the scenery, and of course, the Bengals and the Chiefs. The other game, just as good, Patrick. The Rams, it looked like the 49ers were going to pull it off. It looked like I ended up taking yesterday the 49ers to win the game outright. They were plus 155 on the money line, and I kind of felt that they would go in and they would continue their string of wins against Sean McVay and the Rams, excuse me. Instead, the Rams rallied 13 points to close out the ball game there, 13 in the fourth quarter. A huge, huge dropped interception, and then Jimmy Garoppolo turns into the Jimmy Garoppolo that we expect Jimmy Garoppolo to be, and falls apart on the final drive. I guess the final two drives, to be honest, Patrick. And the Rams are going to the Super Bowl. Matthew Stafford gets a chance for a Super Bowl victory. The reason he went to Los Angeles.
Yeah, he does, but I didn't even think he was very good in the game. I mean, he did have 337 yards, and he threw the ball a ton, but I mean, he threw a pick. He should have thrown the game away. He did throw the game away. He was just lucky that the safety for the Niners, Jaquiski Tartt, dropped the ball. I mean, one of the easiest interceptions he's ever going to have in his career. So, I mean, good for Matthew Stafford. I thought that game kind of stunk, though. It was not that entertaining. After watching the excitement of the Bengals Chiefs comeback, maybe it's just because I didn't have too much of a rooting interest in that game. They're both West Coast teams. I didn't particularly care, and we've seen the matchup twice this year already, but I thought that game was a big letdown. Thought it was played pretty sloppily. Jimmy G, I did want to see it for the story, just him going back to the Super Bowl and the 49ers being faced with keeping or letting go a quarterback that's taken the two Super Bowls in 3 years. But he was Jimmy Garoppolo, just like we expected. He was bad. That last interception was horrific, but it was also 3rd and 13, and if he gets sacked and it's 4th and 20, I mean, you're not in much better shape. So the 49ers just, they used all their magic. Kyle Shanahan, it's so hard to beat a good team 7 times in a row. I think it was already 6-0. 7 times in a row is really hard to do. So, it is what it is. I guess I'm surprised that the Rams are opened up as a 3.5-point favorite in the Super Bowl because they just didn't look that good. But it is a home game, and people are obsessed with the star power in LA. But man, I think the Bengals feel so good about their chances to win a Super Bowl right now.
Certainly, we'll talk a lot about this. The weird part now it's always baffling to me that there's a week off in between championship week and the Super Bowl, and obviously with the extra round of games played this year, going to a 17-game season, you bumped everything back 1 week, and what you end up with then is now a Super Bowl that'll fall on Valentine's weekend. It'll be February 13th. So plan accordingly for your Valentine's dinners there over the weekend. You probably don't want to do anything on Sunday night unless you want to. Although maybe now it'll be easier to get Valentine's Day or pre-Valentine's Day reservations at a restaurant of your choosing if you want to have a nice Valentine's dinner in the first half of the Super Bowl.
Is Valentine's weekend a thing, though?
Can be.
I thought it was just the actual day. I mean, doesn't everybody go out to dinner on the actual day?
Jen, you're married, although I'm not sure all our listeners are aware of that at times. But I've been married once. When you have kids, you kind of, if Valentine's is right around the weekend, you kind of, don't you just do it you just do the Valentine's dinner that way, because otherwise it's a school night. I know, like this year for me, the 14th would fall. Austin would have a soccer practice. I mean, you're with me on this, right? Valentine's basically at this point in life, kids and everything falls on a weekend. You try and make it work then. There you go. Okay. Yeah, we're a very. Yeah. Okay. And that's why I'm the most romantic, not just of this program, but of the the station as a whole. Yeah. So anyway, well, Patrick, yeah, Valentine's weekend, yeah, Anthony on the Buford Lending live stream. Valentine's weekend is a thing for me. His wife's birthday is on Valentine's Day. Well, there you go. That's perfect. That's two birds. Yeah, it's two birds, one stone. You get a lot out of the way with that one. Save an extra day of the year. So, a lot going on. Yeah, you combine them both. It's a lot going on there. So yeah, a lot. Good for him. You can join us this morning if you want to. 803-404-6100 is how you can do so. Yeah, we'll get into a lot here this morning because also you had the Tom Brady news, you had the NFL championship weekend, but the South Carolina basketball team goes to Texas A&M. It was a late game, 8:30 tip off here locally. Stayed up, watched the first half on the couch, got in bed, watched the second half, and once again, Patrick, South Carolina goes on a run late in the game. They're kind of hanging around. This was a little bit different than some of the other runs because in this game they were hanging around. It wasn't like they were losing big like they were against Georgia and Vanderbilt or down 10, 9, 10, 11 and went on some tremendous run. This one, they're kind of hanging around the game, down 3, down 4, down 5, back within 2, and all of a sudden they take off. And the next thing you know, it's a 9, 10-point lead, and they go on they cruise to a victory and pick up a big one over Texas A&M. That's a nice one to add to the resume at this point, and it sets up a pretty big week for South Carolina basketball with a trip to Mississippi State tomorrow night and a game against Tennessee on Saturday.
Yeah, it was. I mean, they struck at the right time. They got hot at the right time to just kind of pull away and cruise to the end of that thing, and that was close to the best that this team is really capable of playing. And when you play like that on the road against a good team, I mean, A&M was 15-5 going into the week. They're a good basketball team, and I don't know if this brings South Carolina fans back in. I mean, there was cool moments on Twitter. I saw a lot of that stuff between Jermaine Cousinard and Keyshawn Bryant hugging Frank Martin after good performances from them after a really tough start to the season for both those guys. You have Keyshawn Bryant dropping 12 and Jermaine Cousinard dropping 13 in front of 100 family members there in Texas A&M, and it was just great all-around performance. And Eric Stevenson shoots the ball well. That changes things for the entire South Carolina team, and they just played a great game. But you gotta keep going. We said does going on the road on Saturday and Tuesday, picking up 2 road wins against decent teams, change the narrative of the season, and you got one out of the way, and you have a chance to get a second and kind of start proving people wrong and change the way people are looking at this basketball team.
Yeah, it was certainly. And if you look at the SEC as a whole right now, Kentucky going in, and we'll get into a little bit of college basketball this morning, big picture college basketball, because you had the SEC Big 12 matchup this past weekend. The SEC scores 2 massive victories. Alabama knocks off Baylor, number 4 Baylor, in Tuscaloosa, and then Kentucky just goes into Fog Allen Fieldhouse and just soundly whips Kansas there. Kentucky currently 12th in the nation. Kansas was number 5 previous to that game. But if you look at the SEC as a whole right now, Auburn is 8-0 in the league. Kentucky's 6-2 in the league. Arkansas is 5-3, and Tennessee's 5-3. And then there's a whole bunch of teams. Mississippi State's 4-3, one less conference game. Alabama, LSU, South Carolina, and Texas A&M all 4-4. Florida 3-5. Vanderbilt 3-5. So there's a lot of teams bunched up right there together, and the Gamecocks are in a position where, again, they've won 3 in a row. This was one that, again, puts you back on track. It's kind of like, Patrick, what we've said is why we didn't necessarily you sometimes want to say, all right, the Florida game was a must win, but then again, you lose that one, but you pick up one on the road that I'm not sure I expect or had them winning in Texas A&M. And if you win the Mississippi State game tomorrow night, you're right. It continues to build hype for a massive game this coming weekend. G.G. Jackson, the local 5-star standout, will be on campus on a Saturday afternoon. It'll give a big chance for fans to turn out and really put forth a nice atmosphere at Colonial Life Arena. So you're right. We'll get more into that because it was a very good victory, and you finally got solid contributions really from the guys that you thought would be your big 4. Cousinard, Bryant, Stevenson, and Reese. The 4 of those guys really come together and looks like a very solid outing. Really cool to see Jermaine Cousinard with a lot of family members there too. A lot of pictures up on social media after the game of him celebrating with family members. So we'll get more into that certainly this morning as we roll along. Again, you can join us 803-404-6100. That's how you can weigh in on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line or the Love Chevy phone lines. You can also join us via the Buford Lending live stream this morning. Craig, Lee, Carlton, Travis, DC, Anthony. Oh, there's a lot of people up and Adam already with us on the live stream as we get you through here a Monday morning, January 31st is how we're doing things. Let's get out to the Love Chevy phone lines. Jen and Gamecock Larry weighing in, I'm sure, with important NFL thoughts this morning.
I'm doing just fine. Gamecock basketball doing great. I want to have all you naysayers always call in all this and that. Gamecocks, we out of here. We out of here, Gamecocks. That's what most of all 107.5 was saying. Old Gamecock Larry told you we gonna be okay. We gonna go out to Mississippi, take care of them, and come back, and we gonna have two of the greatest basketball games we've had in a while, and we gonna sweep Tennessee and Kentucky. Now, let me tell you something. I didn't think I would ever see another NFL football game, but yesterday I was sitting in my recliner listening to the radio basketball game and sitting there, and after the game was over, watching it on TV on mute, listening to Derek Scott and them, while my son-in-law turned it over to the channel where the Cincinnati Bengals come on TV. I was just sitting there and I wasn't paying no attention. I wasn't really watching the game. But the next thing I know, I said, Lord, look at here. I told you those Cincinnati Bengals going to win the I forgot what the Super Bowl, didn't I? I told you that last week. They go win the Super Bowl. Joe Cool gonna win the Super Bowl. But you didn't believe me. But I hope you do now. But I ain't gonna say I ain't gonna watch. But that's the first NFL game I watched, I guess, in 10 or 12 years. But I enjoyed it. Watching all them high-priced athletes run all across the field. If I had half of that money, I'd be in Hawaii somewhere. That's about all I got to say. But Gamecock Nation, we're going to have a 5-game winning streak. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. After the Kentucky game, we're going to have a 5-game winning streak. And you're going to have to quit talking about Frank Morton and his basketball team. Let Frank coach, let the team play. Go Gamecock!
Thank you. Well, I would have felt terrible. Just the quality of football that was being played yesterday, I would have felt terrible that anyone would have to miss out on it. And Gamecock Larry clearly appreciated it. He doesn't like the paychecks in the NFL, but he likes the football. It's hard to not like the football that Joe Cool is playing.
Just for the sake of the text message, I'm going to stick on.
I don't understand that message at all.
Yeah, we've
what if we said that the Bengals are not good? We love Joe Burrow. I said I thought the Chiefs would beat them and cover the spread, and it looked like they were going to, but I mean, people just rally around Joe Cool.
Yeah, no, we'll continue talking about that. Yep, Rams, 49ers, and yes, the South Carolina basketball team with a very good victory. Now they've got to keep the momentum going. Patrick and I both agree, but good victory over the weekend there at Texas A&M, the women as well, as they defeat Florida yesterday down in Gainesville. We'll continue on with that. Plenty to get to this morning. Again, you're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game. Oh, it is a lovely morning. Maybe some of you got 2 weeks. You're thinking about heading on out to Los Angeles for the Super Bowl. You need a trustworthy vehicle if you're not going to fly. You can find those at Love Chevrolet, I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park. You've always heard me talk about the great price that you're going to get out there. You're not going to go out there and suffer sticker shock where you get out there, you think you're getting a great deal only to find out that there's extra add-ons to the price of the vehicle you want that raises the price, and now you're feeling a little shocked at that. You're not going to find that at Love Chevrolet. It's not what they are doing. They're continuing business as usual. You're also not going to be disappointed with the selection of vehicles at Love Chevrolet. 14 acres to be exact of brand new Chevrolets. Right now, of course, it is a time of high demand and low supply, but that is not stopping things over at Love Chevrolet. But the most important thing is that incredible sales staff, the customer service that you get from the moment you come on the lot to the moment you leave. The great folks over there, the way they treat you, they take care of you, they answer questions. Purchasing a vehicle is a big deal now. And when you go to purchase a brand new one from Love Chevrolet, you get the absolute best customer service. Go find out for yourself. I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's or Frankie's Fun Park, or on the web, lovechevy.com. Get out to Love Chevrolet and find new roads. Good morning. What a surprise. Yeah, good Super Bowl, though. Rams and Bengals, something totally different. Good morning, young man. How are you doing? Austin's on the live stream. Josh, Travis. Good to see you. Looks like you're up and heading to school. Everybody's up. It's cold out there, though. Definitely need to get some coffee and a little bit more orange juice. Let me go do that. Oh.
Didn't Calipari get a lifetime deal at Kentucky too? Would be interesting to read that contract. It's like he can't get fired.
It's a good question, Travis. Yeah, I guess Auburn just decided that they don't feel like they got enough problems. Did you see what's going on? I don't know if people saw what's going on with the Auburn offensive coordinator. Patrick, did you see that?
No.
Austin Davis, the quarterback's coach at I don't think he was the offensive coordinator at for the Seattle Seahawks, but he was the quarterback's coach, and apparently he's changed his mind, just hasn't come to work. Just hasn't been on campus at Auburn. So it looks like he's not going to be the offensive coordinator now.
Ooh.
So they're going to just, I guess, promote a guy from within.
He hasn't told them anything. He just hasn't showed up.
Yeah, basically. Well, the feeling is that they might know that he's probably talked to Harsin, but there's no official announcement, and he hadn't been on campus and worked. So hard to figure out what's going on there. But yeah, so I guess the plan there was they don't feel like going through. They've got enough problems with football searches right now. They don't need to get into a basketball one. All right. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Maryland and now Louisville both do. All right. Let's get back at it. Eight 803-404-6100. How you can join us this morning on the text line or the Love Chevy phone lines. You can also join along on the Buford Lending live stream. Carlton, Lee, Craig, Travis, DC, Anthony, everybody weighing in. Larry, my son Austin on there. Travis bringing up, Patrick, some other college basketball news of the weekend, and that is Auburn signing Bruce Pearl to a lifetime contract. Auburn locks up Pearl for life with a $50 million deal. And I was joking off air. Well, I was joking. I was actually telling the news off air. If you haven't seen it, I think this is because probably Austin Davis, the I guess you'd call him the offensive coordinator for Auburn football. The thing is, he hasn't been on campus to start the job, and now several people, including several Auburn outlets, are saying that he probably will not take the job. Saturday Down South reporting that he's rethinking his decision. There's been nothing official from Auburn, but definitely a interesting weekend. Auburn already losing defensive coordinator Derek Mason to Oklahoma State, and now I guess the guy, Patrick, that they were hiring to be their offensive coordinator, Austin Davis, who has been with the Seattle Seahawks, is, I guess, rethinking his decision. He was the quarterback's coach, so he was coaching up Russell Wilson. So maybe instead of having to deal with any kind of basketball coaching searches, the idea here is, hey, let's just go ahead and lock up Bruce Pearl because we're going to have to deal with a lot of football stuff here over the next 24 months probably.
Yeah, I mean, and he's led them to their first #1 ranking of all time, but the football stuff is kind of crazy. Does this like automatically just put Brian Harsin on the hot seat that you have a defensive coordinator taking what should be a less than lateral move to a same role in a dead conference or conference on life support, and you can't even get the offensive coordinator to show up to work? I don't know. I did not hear that until you just told me during the break. It's a wild story. I don't know what is going on there. Is he really hard to work with, or what is the read between the lines here?
There's no actual report right now. You've got Nathan King of 24/7 Sports says Austin Davis is rethinking his decision to leave the NFL for college. Again, I guess his current. I don't know if he's still actually employed. This has all kind of come out over the weekend, and more so yesterday, as there was a couple like cryptic tweets from current quarterbacks. I'd forgotten Zach Calzada had committed to Auburn and was going there. Along, TJ Finley is already there. They picked up another transfer quarterback as well. And both of those guys had kind of weird, interesting tweets over the weekend regarding some reports about Austin Davis, and it kind of went to another level yesterday afternoon. But again, Nathan King saying that new Auburn offensive coordinator Austin Davis has been away from the program for a week, and there's dwindling optimism about the situation. Things can change, of course, but as of right now, he is not expected to return to the staff, and it goes on to say they'll continue to provide updates. So I don't know, what exactly goes into this. I don't know if he got there and he's gone through a little bit of a recruiting and realizes recruiting is not for him. I don't know if Brian, as you mentioned, Brian Harsin is a guy that's really difficult to work with, but this is certainly a situation in which it looks like Auburn's offense, they fired Mike Bobo, hired Austin Davis, and then you lose Derek Mason. And there's a lot of turmoil there on the Plains.
Has Austin Davis gotten a paycheck for Auburn?
I don't know. I don't know his official. That's what I'm saying. Can he go back to the Seahawks? Like, could he?
I don't. Probably, right? There's nothing that stops you.
Is he still employed? I don't know. Like, did he stop working for the Seahawks and officially start working for Auburn? I'm not sure.
It's just a nightmare situation for them. I don't know. I guess Brian Harsin is learning every single week how much he bit off more than he could probably chew, and should have been content to. I don't know how much he was making at Boise State. Probably like $1 million, $2 million. Should have been content to just keep cashing those paychecks.
Yeah. So the Auburn in the news for the Bruce Pearl situation where they lock him up with a lifetime contract. The deal is worth $5.4 million per year with a $250,000 annual escalator. The deal will max out at $7.15 million during the 2029-2030 season. Has a total value of $50.2 million. Bruce Pearl, by the way, if you're wondering, is 61 years of age. So this really is taking him to 70 years old. That's why it's, I guess, considered a lifetime contract, because he doesn't really see himself, I guess, coaching past 70 years of age. And Pearl adding in a video that they played on Saturday over the video board, Auburn thumped Oklahoma in that game. He said, the family and I are going to be able to stay and be your basketball coach for a long, long time. I'm grateful. I'm humbled. I'm blessed to be your coach. So that was some SEC basketball news over the weekend. And again, South Carolina making their own SEC basketball news with a 74-63 victory, Patrick, over Texas A&M, a game that South Carolina trailed by 31-27 at halftime, but outscores Texas A&M 47-32 in the second half. James Reese, 20 points on the night. He was 3 of 5 from three-point range. Eric Stevenson was 3 of 5 from three-point range with 13 points. And Jermaine Cousineau, probably his best game of the year, I think it's fair to say. 6 assists, 13 points, 4 of 11 from the field, 2 of 5 from three-point range. Very solid performance from him. And I thought he was kind of the catalyst to them getting going and being able to pull off a big victory.
Yeah, still 4 turnovers, but he was more in control and just I think he's just looking more comfortable out there, which is very nice to see. I don't know if you can officially say that the corner has been turned for him and really for him and Keyshawn Bryant, but I mean, that's about as good of a game as you can really ask for from this team. I mean, you're not going to have multiple guys going for 20 plus, but James Reese can really fill it up, and three-pointers for him. Eric Stevenson's going 3 for 5. You're able to stretch the court. You're able to run and knock down shots in transition. They were still not great from the free throw line, but good enough, and you're getting your attempts. And I think you've got to be really happy with this game. And if you can continue to play like that, if they can play exactly like they just played, they'll beat Mississippi State, and they'll be able to come back next weekend at home against Tennessee and really have a chance to pick up a big upset. I don't know if this really gets like the conference talking, but for South Carolina fans, it's a good sign. It's a good game, and you've now strung together 3 good games in a row, and you've got the 3rd longest winning streak in the conference right now. It's something.
You're right. It keeps people interested right now because South Carolina, they did get into the top 100 of the net ranking. That's important. If you continue to win, you win these 2 games this week, you should continue to get a boost there. I know the 24-point loss to Coastal was not good, but in terms of hurting your net ranking or the KenPom rankings, it's not necessarily going to be all that damaging. You've got the Florida State win, and Florida State continues to play better and better and better as of late, and that win looking a little bit better. The Georgetown win, Georgetown is struggling. I was actually reading an article over the weekend before Georgetown lost to Butler, Jen's team. Butler knocks off Georgetown over the weekend, but just about the problems that Patrick Ewing is having, and some of it went back to, even though he's been able to land a few decent recruits here and there, it went kind of to the point of he really, really doesn't like recruiting. But that Georgetown victory that South Carolina got earlier this year in terms of being able to help you, not exactly doing much for the resume, because at this point in time, Georgetown is 0-7 in the Big East and 6-12 overall. So you're not getting much out of
Maryland and Georgetown will be looking for coaches at the same time.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I don't know. I read that article on Patrick Ewing, and there's a lot of issues right now there with them, and they don't know what to do. Also, because Patrick Ewing is a very loyal, homegrown son to them, and they do not want to part ways with him. But it's, as you were just saying, outside of it's rough there. Florida State, by the way, has lost 2 in a row, but they've gotten to 13-7 on the season, 6-4 in the ACC. So again, that win actually helping you out a little bit. 803-404-6100. How you can weigh in this morning if you'd like to. Getting back to the NFC and AFC championship games, the NFC game, Newberry Chris says the Rams game just seemed like a letdown because for all but 1 or 2 games in the playoffs, I guess he says weren't great. I think he meant that they've been great. Still, this has been the best overall playoffs I've ever seen. And Patrick, I think that's the storyline here is you're right. We've gotten the NFL has found a time, you go to the extended season, the 17-game season, and now you come up with at least, without a doubt, back-to-back weekends of some of the best games we've ever seen in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, somebody asked, is it too being a prisoner of the moment to say that this is the best playoffs ever? I don't know, because Super Wildcard Weekend was a bust. I mean, we talked about it that we were entertained, but there was, I think, one good game. There was just blowout after blowout after blowout, and I believe that Bengals-Raiders game was pretty much the only close game of the Super Wildcard Weekend. So that was, I guess, a bust, and the whole reason they expanded the season was for that game, and expanded the playoffs was for that game. But if that 1 week, sacrificing that 1 week of incredible games gets us a divisional round and a conference championship round like we just got, I mean, it was literally 5 straight games, all the divisional round games, and then the first championship weekend game were decided on the last play of the game. Not just the last minute of the game, not the last drive of the game. They were decided on the last play. It was 4 walk-off field goals and a walk-off touchdown in overtime. And then we get Jimmy G with a chance to, all the narratives were great in the 49ers-Rams game. Jimmy G with a chance to drive down the field with a minute 40-something left and score a touchdown and completely prove all the haters wrong, and he just collapsed and did exactly what we expected him to do. So it was just fascinating. It was phenomenal football for 2 weeks straight, and the NFL has got to be just over the moon right now.
They are in the news as I look to the television to my right. Obviously, you had 2 massive games, 2 great games this weekend. You got the Bengals storyline, and yet all of that may be slightly overshadowed for the next 2 weeks as we await Tom Brady's official announcement. Will he actually retire? ESPN rolling that one out there Saturday, I guess around lunchtime, maybe 1 o'clock. I think it was Adam Schefter was the first to break this. No official word from Tom Brady yet. As a matter of fact, some reports coming back and saying that he actually reached out to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers general manager to let him know that he had not made a decision yet. But ESPN is reporting, and they're sticking by the report.
Not budging.
No, yeah. We'll talk about this. We'll get into this a little bit because it is kind of interesting. Tom Brady set to retire after 22 seasons and 7 Super Bowl wins, or is he gonna defy Adam Schefter and stick around 1 more year and let this thing play out? We'll talk about this. You like that plan? Just 1 more year after it's been reported?
Just a spite. Mm-hmm.
It would be one of the great sports stories.
It's on his terms. It will be on his terms.
It will be on his terms. I agree. We'll talk about this, and we'll get back into the basketball. Also, there was some other interesting college football news as it pertains to former South Carolina assistants. A lot to talk about this morning. You're listening to Bill Gunner, Patrick Pratt, Jen Jensen. It's the early game on 107.5. Valentine's is just around the corner. We were talking about that here to start the program. Not that far away. Matter of fact, I think it's 2 weeks from today. Are you ready? Have you got that special someone, a nice, lucky present? If not, I got just that idea for you. A clean home. That's right. Everybody, flowers, candy, diamonds. Those aren't girls' best friends. It's a clean home. Trust me, she'll love it. If you call Zero Res today, 803-262-4020, go ahead and book that cleaning from Zero Res, whether it's the carpet, the tile, the upholstery, all of it will be insanely clean after Zero Res stops by with their patented ZR water technology, scientifically proven to get your house looking beautiful. Call Zero Res today, 803-262-4020. Right now, you can get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $119. When you mention Bill Gunner at 107.5 the game. That's all you got to say. Bill Gunner, 107.5 the game. You'll get your hallway cleaned for free as well. 803-262-4020. You can book online, ZeroResColumbia.com. Zero, spell it forwards or backwards. It's the right way to clean. Yeah, Cowboys, 49ers, RL, I agree. Yeah, I think Alabama's going after Eric Wolford. It sounds like that's where he could end up. I didn't see Brian McClendon got hired at Georgia. Did he?
Wide receivers coach.
Wow. I see. I did see that. I forgot about that. The $15 million bonus, or is it $15 million part of his signing, $20 million signing bonus? I did see that, Josh, the Little Debbie ice cream things. It's too cold for ice cream right now, and
So they're just making ice cream flavors of all of their snacks.
Yeah, basically.
Ew.
Pretty much.
I'm looking at the pictures right now. I would have no interest in a, honey bun ice cream. Oatmeal cream pie ice cream? No thanks.
Maybe this summer I'll get into that. But Patrick, are we going to get any tennis thoughts from you? No. Check.
Didn't watch a second.
Yeah, 3:30 a.m.
I know Nadal won. I know he had to come back to do it, but that's all I know.
Yeah, strawberry cheesecake does sound like a pretty good ice cream flavor. I could get on board with that.
All the good sounding ones are ones that just already exist, though. Like Cosmic Brownie, I'm sure sounds good because that's just chocolate ice cream.
Yeah. There was a period in my life where Ben & Jerry's was constantly in the fridge, but that was a much fatter period of my life.
I wonder if there are chunks in it.
That's a good question.
Yeah, it looks like there are. Yeah, brownie pieces in the Cosmic Brownie. I would definitely go for the Cosmic Brownie one.
Yeah, Austin's a cookie dough fan. We actually have some of that edible cookie dough in the refrigerator now. I ate some, I think, last week and did not sit well on the old tummy. Appeared to be a bad idea for me.
Is it good though? I've never had the edible cookie dough. I just eat regular cookie dough.
Right. Be a rebel, man.
Yeah.
Risk it. It's
I
all
think
right.
one either Pillsbury or Nestle, maybe both. They say they advertise on the label now that there's no eggs in it, so it's safe to eat raw.
Ah, there you go.
So it's all
Well,
edible cookie dough now.
people have raw eggs like for hangover treatment. So like, what's? I don't
No
know.
big deal.
All right, head back in.
Eight 803-404-6100. How you can weigh in this morning via the text line or via the Love Chevy phone lines. Over on the text line, Will sends us a screenshot. And yeah, this is part of it. And this is what we're going to get to on Tom Brady. A couple reports coming out over the weekend on Tom Brady's contract saying that based on the contract he signed, I guess last year, I believe it was or 2 years ago, it was a 2-year deal, that he's set to be paid $15 million from his $20 million signing bonus on February 4th. That would be this coming Thursday, I believe. If Brady retires before then, he would not be owed that money. So maybe waiting until Thursday to officially announce his retirement. I don't know exactly how that goes, Patrick. Like if you publicly state you're retired, but you don't you don't send in the retirement paperwork to the NFL, can you not receive that money? Like I guess that's how it works. Does that seem about right?
I would think that you'd have to go through the official process. Just saying it's not enough.
I mean, who knows?
You can say whatever you want.
I would also think that he's going to give a heads up, and there will be the official announcement will not be. I mean, Tom Brady gets 22 years, 7 Super Bowls. Tom Brady gets a send-off press conference, right? It's not an Instagram post of him with his kids, with his back, like looking at the stadium one final time. Or,
it's much cooler to do it that way, though, because I mean, I despise Coach K for doing a send-off tour and making everyone bow down to him the last time he plays each team, and I've always hated the send-off tour. I thought Derek Jeter's was one of the most obnoxious things of all time, with every ballpark just presenting him with a gift and just a whole year of that. I think it's much cooler for the greatest of all time to just say, oh, yeah, by the way, I'm done. And just nonchalant and just keep it moving.
If he does have a press conference, or let me ask you this, is he past the point where he signs a one-day contract with the Patriots? Like, is that relationship so broken? Or I mean, that's his career, right? Like the Bucs thing, the Buccaneers thing is a really neat story, and he goes and he shows how great he is. But at the end of the day, he is a New England Patriot. That's what he will always be. And I guess the point I'm asking is that does he do the thing where he signs a one-day contract with New England to retire a Patriot?
I don't understand. I don't know what the relevance is to that, other than just he retired as a member of this team and just saying that. You don't go into the Hall of Fame as a member of one team. I think that's a baseball thing. But maybe I don't think the relationship's broken to the point where he's gonna not do that. But I don't know that he sees there being really a point to it. And I don't know that I do either. I don't know what the relevance is to that other than just kind of making a nice gesture to the city.
Yeah,
he won them 6 Super Bowls though in New England. Like he doesn't need to do anything else for them. I don't feel like he owes them the gesture of retiring as a Patriot. It is what it is. I don't think he resents New England at all, though. I don't think that was I hate this city and I hate this organization. I think he still loves Robert Kraft. I think he still, in a way, loves Bill Belichick. I just think their competitiveness and the way they work and feed off each other had reached its end, and he needed to go somewhere else and have a change of scenery for the last couple of years. So I don't think there's any hatred or or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know if there is significance. I guess it is meaningful to certain players. You bring up a good point. I don't know if we would view it any differently. I do wonder though if he thanks the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And again, I don't know his exact contract in terms of like when it runs out. Like if it runs out February 5th, say, and he signs a deal over the weekend. And so I guess where I was going with that initially is I thought you're thinking about the press conference. Do you have a press conference, say, back in New England? Again, there's a lot of ties there. And you're right. I think maybe things kind of reached a boiling point there with he and Bill Belichick, and it was time to move on. And look, it looks like the Patriots are maybe heading toward stability with Mac Jones and maybe getting back to be a Super Bowl contender. I think there was a time this year that they were top 3, top 4, top 5, somewhere in there in terms of Vegas odds to reach the Super Bowl and maybe even win it. So it looks like the Patriots have moved on and done a good job of finding the quarterback and rebuilding that franchise. Obviously, Tom Brady went on to do great things in Tampa, and certainly when you win a Super Bowl and the way he did, he I don't know if he needed to prove his greatness, Patrick, but he goes on to do that. And I just wonder now, though, if there is kind of a reconciliation between he and New England. You retire there. I think we all assume that's what he'll go in as basically a New England Patriot into the Hall of Fame and not so much a Tampa Bay Buccaneer.
Yeah, I mean, 6 Super Bowls, individually more Super Bowls than any other, or tied for more Super Bowls on one team than any franchise has. He's gonna be remembered as a Patriot. I hope that there's no press conference and he just makes it as low key as possible, or maybe he'll do another interview with Jim Gray, the guy that he always does a podcast with, and that'll just be it. I don't think Tom is the kind of guy that wants the attention of a goodbye press conference, everyone talking about how great he is for several hours, and him just sitting there.
He's set to get about $15 million on Thursday. He's already made a couple dollars in 22 years, but who knows? Maybe you're right. Maybe you put out your own podcast talking about your career, and people have to pay for it. Like a couple extra dollars. You can always use those. We'll continue talking about this. We'll get back into championship weekend in the NFL in South Carolina with a big basketball victory. So much to get into. As long as some more NFL news. You're listening to The Early Game on 107.5 The Game.
So, Bill, do you want to cut this thing?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
All right. We are cutting a commercial. Y'all talk amongst yourself. I'll be right back. Patrick will be back as well, but I'll be right back.
Not sure how that works. I don't think you can make him. I think you'd have to give back all his money. It'd be a pain. Oh, yes, of course, we have a call about the Washington football team. 2 more days until they announce that they're officially going to be the Washington Commanders. Very exciting. That's a little Debbie. Only the Cosmic Brownie and Nutty Bar. So I pulled up the actual contents of them, and Cosmic Brownie just sounds like chocolate fudge ice cream with brownie bits, or brownie batter ice cream filled with brownie pieces. That's outstanding. And then Nutty Bar is peanut butter ice cream swirled with waffle cone pieces. That sounds great. Yeah, I don't know, Sonny. I'm so not excited for this. Maybe they'll surprise us and actually come up with a cool name, but I don't even know if Commanders is a bad name, and I'm just not going to ever be satisfied. It's going to be hard to say who's your favorite team and saying Commanders, though. Go Commanders. And it seems like if it is Commanders, it's going to be really disappointing because it's the worst kept secret of all time. Still doing a live read?
Pool Solutions with Tracy Corley comes to your house. They take care of.
All right. And 7 o'clock on a Monday morning. Patrick Perrette with you. Bill Gunter will be along in a second as he finishes up a end of the hour live read. We have talked a lot, a lot of NFL talk this morning. Really not expected to be, or maybe it was expected to be, a great championship weekend. But after one of the great divisional rounds of all time, I don't know that we were expecting to be amazed this weekend. And I personally was worried that the Chiefs-Bengals game had blowout potential, and it certainly looked that way in the first half with the Cincinnati getting down 21-3 and just an amazing comeback. And Bill, I think it'll be really interesting if the Bengals, or maybe even if they don't win the Super Bowl, if just the fact that they're here at all, what does that change about? Oh man, and I can hear Bill.
I can hear you, but Jen's got my headphones down, so I'm having to utilize the live stream here. But now you were asking about this past weekend, Patch. And
yeah, I'm asking, does this change if Joe Burrow wins a Super Bowl right now in his second year, first quarterback to ever win a Super Bowl in his second year after being number one pick? All this talk about Patrick Mahomes, but he's been to 4 straight championship games and won 1 Super Bowl. Where do we put Joe Burrow in a list of young quarterbacks in football? Is there a debate? Is Joe Burrow better than Patrick Mahomes?
No, I think what you look at what Burrow was able to do, and certainly this.
He's elevated a worse team.
Yeah, no, I think that this Bengals team still has a ways to go. The Chiefs, I will say, you are right. There's I don't know, Patrick. I'm kind of, as you go through T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, and how you compare them to Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, and obviously Sammy Watkins also was a part of the Chiefs and what they were able to do. I'm trying to think of other key pieces.
It's just a rookie and a second-year guy versus 2 Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce who were in their prime and already elite players in the game. Joe Burrow clearly has elevated a worse team. if they win the Super Bowl, I don't know what more you could possibly say or ask of him.
Oh, you can't. Well, I mean, you can't ask any more of him if he wins the Super Bowl. I don't know. That's a good question about where you put Joe Burrow on the landscape of NFL quarterbacks. I mean, Deshaun Watson obviously would be a guy. You mentioned it last week. If Watson was playing, how would we view him right now when you talk about these young quarterbacks? But you're right. Matthew Stafford, I think we said, will be 30. If he's not 33, he'll be 33, I believe,
like
coming
that.
up. Is that something he's right
Something
around
like
there?
that,
So
yeah.
we don't put him necessarily in the 25, 26 and under group there. We're waiting to see the development of Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson with the Jets, Tua with the Dolphins, and where they go. Justin Fields with the Bears. You get the point. Mac Jones, obviously. Justin Herbert is a guy who, statistically speaking, had an incredible year, and maybe he does more if he gets into the playoffs with the Chargers. But I would think that you would have Mahomes and Burrow 1A and 1B. And you bring up a good point. I'll say this real quick, just on the Burrow thing. Zach Taylor, the head coach for the Bengals, this is a guy that you thought might actually get fired. Or I think you said was what number 6. He had the 6th best odds to be fired, and now he's in the Super Bowl. So I think that's another thing, because Mahomes doing it with Andy Reid. The track record with Andy Reid was so great.
And they went 11-5 the year before with Alex Smith.
Yeah, and so I'm with you on that. Yeah, I think you might be right about that, elevating Burrow ahead of Mahomes. Look, at one Super Bowl, I don't know if that necessarily is what we should use as the barometer, because Joe Burrow probably is there along with Patrick Mahomes, even without the Super Bowl victory.
But then you look at all the quarterbacks that have won Super Bowl. I mean, Aaron Rodgers still sitting there at one Super Bowl after 17 years. It's just weird. It feels like we're hesitant to go all in on the Bengals, and we were all of the agreement that they're a young team, really exciting. They've got a lot of potential. They're just almost there. Their time hasn't come yet. I think last week we talked about who's this weekend most important for, and we said not the Bengals, because their time is still ahead of them, and they're going to have more opportunities to win Super Bowls going forward. But if you come in, and Joe Burrow didn't even make the Pro Bowl. I mean, he because it's a popularity contest. Lamar Jackson got it over him, even though he was better in pretty much every statistical category this year. So it's like we all acknowledge that Joe Burrow's really good, but no one wants to put him as like number one or discuss him as in the conversation of number one. But if you take a team who's objectively not as good as the Chiefs were, and you win a Super Bowl in the second year, after your first year tearing your ACL, and like a bad ACL tear, he tore like everything in his knee. It was a gruesome injury. He's not going to be the comeback player of the year. Dak Prescott will probably be the comeback player of the year. Joe Burrow's not in the MVP discussion. He wasn't even a Pro Bowler, but he just leads the Bengals to a Super Bowl. If he does that, I mean, he's a legend automatically. First Super Bowl for the Bengals. He's already won them their first game in over 30 years. He would be the first player ever to win a Heisman, National Championship, and Super Bowl. It's already ridiculous that only two people, Joe Namath and Joe Montana, have won national championships and Super Bowls. So it just feels like there's some sort of hesitance to go all in on the Bengals and say that Joe Burrow is like the guy in football. But if he wins with the Bengals, I don't know how much longer you can put off that discussion.
No, you can't. And again, now the one thing is the Dan Marino, I guess, deal here. You do say you hope he wins it or whatever, because Marino, what went his rookie season, he made the Super Bowl. He got his team, got the Dolphins to the Super Bowl in his rookie season, but then never got back. And after he got there his first year, I think everybody said, "Oh man, he's going to end up being this is the start of a great run of Super Bowls for the Miami Dolphins and for Dan Marino." And he only plays in one. I think I'm right on that. I was trying to confirm that, because I feel like for saying it after saying it out loud, I feel like I feel like I'm wrong on it, but I'm pretty sure that's exactly how it went on. And obviously Dan Marino never won a Super Bowl. And as I just look at his Wikipedia page, it mentions that like 3 times in the first 3 paragraphs about how he is considered to be one of the greatest players to never win a Super Bowl and has the most career victories of quarterbacks not to win a title at 155. I mean, there's in one sentence it mentions it twice. So, with all that being said, again, I'm actually looking at the paragraph above it, and it says, despite never being on a Super Bowl winning team, that's unfortunately kind of the legacy of Dan Marino. And we'll see. We'll see exactly what ends up being the legacy of Joe Burrow in 10, 15, 20 years, however long he plays. But certainly it's a great start to his career.
Well, Alan texts in says Cincinnati hasn't won the Super Bowl yet, but it doesn't matter. He's already made history. I mean, he's the first quarterback, the first number one pick to ever take a team to the Super Bowl in his second year. No one's ever done it that quickly. And he's leading a team that has a low salary or has a low payroll. They have mostly young players. They've got the fourth most cap space in football going into next year. It's an incomplete team. Their secondary is terrible. They don't have good linebackers. Their defensive line was really good yesterday and just okay all season long. Trey Hendrickson's a good player. They have a couple of good players on that defensive line, but their offensive line is horrendous. It's literally just Joe Burrow and those receivers, and he just stands there in the pocket, made play after play after play after play. Zach Taylor's play calling was terrible, running the ball in first down every single play, giving Joe Burrow 2nd and 10, 2nd and 9 on seemingly every possession, and having to complete 3rd and 6s and 3rd and 7s nonstop. He's running for his life, breaking tackles from Chris Jones, one of the best defensive linemen in football, and just kept making plays. And he's never lost a must-win game in his career, basically. I mean, he won the bowl game his first year at LSU. He went undefeated his second year at LSU, tore his ACL last year, and then has just all he's done is go to the Super Bowl in his first full season in the NFL. It's not even about the Bengals and or what his legacy is going to be, but when you lead a team that wasn't even supposed to win the division to a Super Bowl that quickly, I just don't know how we can deny that is the guy that you want leading your team of everyone in the NFL.
Well, let's go back and just go through some of the young guys that right now are in bad situations. Zach Wilson, obviously with the Jets, it'll be interesting to see his development.
But that's the thing, Joe Burrow's in a bad situation. I mean, not really because of the receivers now, but it was a coach. It's a brutal organization with a brutal offensive line and a coach that was expected to be fired this year.
Well, but Patrick, I mean, go back like you said, or like we talked about. It's not like he went to. The Bengals have a weird reputation. You brought this up last week, and I think it actually is kind of interesting. The Bengals have this weird reputation as a loser, but what was it? I'm trying to look real quick. How many playoff appearances did they make under Marvin Lewis? Now they didn't win. They didn't ever win, but they did win the AFC North Division Championship in 05 and 09 and 13 and in 15. I mean, that's pretty. Look, it's not like they're the Cleveland Browns, you know. They did and so it's.
I don't know. I really don't know. I think Cincinnati has that reputation that just no free agent's ever going to want to go there. They're a low budget team. They don't pay guys, and it's just they've never won a championship. It just kind of feels like a bit of a loser franchise, even though they've won divisions. And the fact that they never won a playoff game for 30 years, I mean, I feel like they're pretty much the same as Washington has been. I mean, Washington's won a couple divisions here and there, but for the last 30 years, they've won one playoff game, and they're just a loser franchise right now.
Yeah,
but Joe Burrow changed all of that. I mean, they had the number one pick 2 years ago. That just shows how bad they were.
Yeah, well, was it? Yeah, they were 2-14 in 2019. So you're right. They had obviously slipped under Marvin Lewis, and Zach Taylor comes in after a 6-10 season for Lewis when he was fired, and then takes over. They go 2-10, 4-11, and now here they sit at 10-7. It'll be interesting to see the development of Joe Burrow. It'll be interesting to see, as you just mentioned, if some free agents now want to go play with a quarterback like Joe Burrow and that offensive system in Cincinnati. And certainly, you know, this run, you make a good point. You break a 31-year drought of not winning a playoff game with a fun, entertaining run. I mean, look, they haven't blown teams out. 26-19 over the Raiders. They were kind of outplayed in that game. They rally against the Titans and win 19-16 there with the walk-off field goal after the Ryan Tannehill interception. And then you get the rally again. I mean, they were down. You mentioned they were down big in this game, and they come back. Yesterday they come back and they win with the walk-off field goal in overtime against the Chiefs. So it's been an entertaining run. And
there's just so many teams that have been really good for a long time and never made it to this point. Like the Cowboys are the laughingstock kind of, because they've had like 5 11-win seasons in the last like 15 years or something like that. They're always double-digit win teams. They're always seemingly Super Bowl contenders, and they can just never win playoff games. Like Aaron Rodgers hasn't been to the Super Bowl in 13 years, and just the fact that they're here already is really just ridiculous. Like, I cannot believe that the Bengals are in the Super Bowl right now. If you told me this before the season, I absolutely would not have believed it.
803-404-6100. That's how you can join us this morning on the text line if you'd like to do so. Joe weighing in. He says, I believe Joe Burrow will win this year with the Bengals after watching him get sacked 9 times last week and not flinch. Dude's a stud. All he does is win. Super Bowl champs is what the Bengals will be. Kyle weighing in this morning and says, Mahomes equals Manning and Burrow equals Brady of this generation. A lot of you weighing in there. And look, I mean, another anonymous texter just says, Joe Burrow is just special. Their team plays really well somehow. I want them to win because I like old Joe. I don't know how they are in the Super Bowl and my Panthers stink. Must be the Joe Burrow effect. So several people weighing in this morning on that. Another anonymous texter just saying Mahomes will be the Aaron Rodgers of his generation. Best talent on the field with 1 Super Bowl to show for it. It will be interesting, Patrick, because that's the thing. That Kansas City, they've done a good job of being able to structure their salary cap and re-sign guys. And Mahomes is young, so it's not like his career is coming to an end. But we know
he's
how
only
these
a year older than Joe Burrow.
Well, it's just how these things kind of work out. That window with really super talented teams can close on you. I don't know off the top of my head how old Travis Kelce is. I know Tyreek Hill.
I think he's over 30.
30. He'll be 33 in October. So just saying that, but you do wonder the window for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And it's still open, but this will be the second. They obviously last year not being able to win it, not being able to add to Mahomes' legacy, not getting to the Super Bowl this year. Yeah, it's not a ridiculous comment there about being the Aaron Rodgers in 1 Super Bowl. I do think Mahomes will win a second one though.
Yeah, I mean, and it is kind of crazy just because Joe was a transfer and a 5th-year senior and was an older guy, but Joe Burrow's in year 2, Patrick Mahomes is in year 5. He's been at 4 straight conference championships, but they're a year apart in age. So Mahomes just got such an early start on dominating, and he's not going anywhere. But I don't know. I mean, 4 straight conference championships is already more than Aaron Rodgers has done. Aaron Rodgers has played in, I think he's 1-4 in conference championships. So he's played in 5, maybe 6. I might be 1 off on there. But he's only been to 1 Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes has already been to multiple, and yeah, they're not going anywhere.
803-404-6100. Let's get out to the Love Chevy phone lines. David has held through the break and listened to us rant and rave. David, appreciate you being patient. How you doing this morning? What's on your mind?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm happy that I couldn't have been more wrong about the Chiefs and the Bengals game, although a part of me hates it for Debo and Melvin Ingram. They played their hearts out. The question I had this morning was actually geared to Patrick. Wanted to know how excited he was for the unveiling of the Washington name, and if he had a preference of what name they would go with. Appreciate what y'all do. Have a good day.
Appreciate the phone call.
Yeah, 2 days away, Wednesday morning. I mean, the news will break on this show because they're announcing it on the Today Show. I feel like it's going to be the Washington Commanders, and I'm just going to say, okay. Like, it sounds bad, but there's not a single name that's ever been suggested during this process that I've said, okay, I'm all in on that. It's just not going to be the same no matter what. And for someone who follows the team year round and loves the team, I have so little enthusiasm about this. It's kind of sad.
803-404-6100. We see you out there on the Love Chevy phone lines. We'll get to you. We'll get to more of the text line as well. There's plenty of things to get there and continue discussing the weekend that was in the NFL. Get back into some Carolina basketball discussion. And Tom Brady. Yeah, boy. We'll see. We will continue to wait out for the Tom Brady to make the official announcement. We're not going to get it on this show. We will continue to wait. You're listening to Bill Gunner, Patrick Pratt, and Jen Jensen. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game. Tell you what, that cold weather can set you back, can cause some pain in the muscles, in the tissue, in the ligaments, in your joints. You have problems in your ankles, your knees, your back. That's why you can turn to the medical professionals at QC Kinetics. Give them a phone call today, 803-281-6860. That is natural biologic therapies that they will use to help get you back to living the life you deserve to live. So don't wait around. Give QC Kinetics a phone call today and find out just how great their method of getting you back to a better lifestyle can be. No steroids, no opioids, and most importantly, no surgery. Find out today with a free consultation. 803-281-6860 is how you can reach them. Again, that's 803-281-6860. If you've been suffering from inflammation in your hips, in your knees, in your fingers, in your toes, don't go through it another day. Call QC Kinetics today, 803-281-6860. Again, that's 803-281-6860. That's QC Kinetics.
All right. Got some NFL calls. That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mark, you never know, but I don't think it'll be the Washington Defenders because the DC Defenders is the XFL team. So I don't know that they would just make them change. Washington Machines. Never heard that one thrown out there. I don't know. It sounds spiteful, but I'm not gonna like the nickname no matter what, just because it's not what I grew up with. So much history with the last name. Someone says about the Madden curse. Who's even on Madden this year?
I think it was Brady and Mahomes. But that was this one, right?
I don't know. I haven't played Madden in a while. Yeah, it was Brady and Mahomes.
Good morning, Hope.
All right. Well, we knocked out a couple calls. We're already had a long segment. Fly through this hour.
Yep. We'll do this segment and then the Peretz thoughts from the couch or thoughts from Nashville.
Yeah, man. I guess we can do a quick weekend recap. This is only the second time that two number one picks will face off in the Super Bowl. It's kind of wild.
Really?
You know what the first one is?
The two number one, like you talking about quarterback picks?
Quarterbacks, yeah.
Is it recent?
Yep.
Well, what is it? It's not like Tom Brady's been in a Super Bowl pretty much about every year the last 20 years, and obviously we know he wasn't the number one pick. So I'm trying to think.
You got 10 out of 20 to pick from because of that.
Mahomes wasn't the number one pick. All right, well let's just do it this way real quick. I'm trying to think of the last number one drafted quarterback to win the Super Bowl.
I think it might be. I think the answer is the last number one pick to win the Super Bowl. Yeah, it definitely is.
It's a good question. I'll think about it during this.
Should be easy for a lot of people. Luckily,
Do what?
I just gave a hint to the live stream. I'm glad you didn't hear it.
803-404-6100. You can join us on the Love Chevy phone lines or on the text line this morning. Patrick Pratt on the live stream. You can also go to our YouTube page, search 1075 The Game, and click and subscribe there. Patrick has put out I
saw this on Twitter, courtesy of Dane Brugler. He's a draft analyst, by the way.
Gotcha. Okay. The last time that two number one picks at the quarterback position faced off in the Super Bowl, and you said
It's only happened one other time. Yeah.
You said it was within the last 20 years is what we.
Yeah.
Is that what you went with? 20 years.
The last 10 years.
Last 10. Ooh.
And I mean, there's a hint that I could pretty much quickly give it away with. It would have been. I don't want to give a hint yet. You're thinking, right?
Okay. All right. Well, it
will become obvious. Joe Burrow would become the first player to ever win the Heisman, a national championship, and a Super Bowl, and one of the players in that game nearly did it.
Ooh. I'm drawing a blank. We'll get to this. If you want to weigh in, 803-404-6100. We'll see if some of y'all
local relevance to it.
Oh, okay. Some local relevance. All right. Yeah, I'm struggling to come up with the answer. Let's go out though and get the Love Chevy. Boy, people keep saying. By the way, it's not Andrew Luck and Peyton Manning, is it? Yeah. Okay. People are saying it was Peyton Manning, huh?
Was one of them, yes.
Was one of them. Okay. So see if people can get them. I think Jason's got it on the Buford Lending live stream. We'll see if a few other people can get it as well. First, let's get out to the Love Chevy phone lines. And Ty has waited patiently. Ty, how you doing this morning? What's on your mind?
Hey, how y'all guys doing this morning?
Doing good.
That's good. I think, first of all, let me say I'm not a Bengal hater, but I think a lot of people got to calm down. You got to look at the whole picture of why he's there. I know it don't really matter as long as he's there. I get that. But you had the team in the Chiefs that jumped to a big league, took their foot off the pedal like they did previous in other games in San Francisco and whatnot. And not San Francisco, but I forget, drop point. But anyway, they took their foot off the pedal, let them come back and got beat. I think it's more of it's more of the Chiefs doing and why are they like that? Because they've been kind of funny all season. It's something that's not been quite right about that team all season. And another thing about the Bengals, we've seen this before, as far as teams catching fire in the playoffs, and then after they win, some of them even win the Super Bowl, then complete fall to chaos. I think they might be they might find themselves in that kind of arena because, if you do win the Super Bowl, what's going to happen is all the supporting players for Burrow is going to want to get paid more. So when they contracts up or when free agents are going to start leaving or ask for more money, it's going to restrict the talent that you can get around Burrow. Right now, they're working on a lot of rookie contracts. I get that in their key positions. But still, that's going to cause them a lot of problems down the line. So it's going to be, like you said, Pat, hard free agents to Cincinnati. And, yeah, people will come to a proven guy. One Super Bowl is not proven. I mean, there's a lot of no-name quarterbacks to this day that won Super Bowls and even some brand names like you mentioned, like Aaron Rodgers, considered one of the best quarterbacks ever, behind Tom Brady maybe, but only won one Super Bowl. It's hard to win a Super Bowl. So, I mean, I hope he wins. It would be a nice talking point, but that don't guarantee what I'm hearing everybody say, oh, he's the new Tom Brady. I think Tom Brady was lucky to found Coach Belichick early on in his life and help develop and become a player that he is now. And that's a lot to do with his system. And I would listen to Teddy talk on ESPN about, Tom Brady grew into that and the way he is. And I believe that. So, I mean, I don't think Joe Burrow the next Tom Brady, but I think he's going to be a heck of a player.
Well, I think
that's
people
all
have Yeah, I think people have been saying that Mahomes was the next Tom Brady because he won a Super Bowl so quickly. And also to his point about the contracts, I mean, that's only more evidence for how impressive what they're doing right now is. Like, they're going to have to pay people, yeah, but Jamar Chase is a rookie. He's going to be under team control for 4 more years after this year. Joe Burrow is under team control for 3 more years after this year. T. Higgins is in his second year. He's under team control for 3 more years. Like, they haven't paid anybody yet, and they're in the Super Bowl. That just makes it more incredible.
Well, I think and thank you for the phone call, Ty. I think the one thing is he was talking, and I'm not really necessarily saying that this in effect to Ty. I think you need to really be careful about all right, he's the next Tom Brady. I don't know if there ever will be another Tom Brady. Seven Super Bowls. What I can get on board with some of the text messages is the rivalry of Brady and Manning. And is that what we're going to get with Burrow and Mahomes? Do we get that kind of quarterback rivalry where they're constantly
with Allen?
Well, throw him in there. And you know what? We were talking about all those young quarterbacks, and I left Josh Allen off of that list as well. And that's a good point about Josh Allen. And, just because he lost a game in which he very well probably should have, he should have won. Yeah, point blank, they should have won. They should have won. And that didn't happen. So we'll see just where it goes. But it's interesting because you're right. Now we're sitting here hyping Joe Burrow as the next great thing. If Josh Allen had have won last week and won this week, we'd be hyping Josh Allen. And you've talked about it. He's kind of a unicorn at the quarterback position because of his ability to run, because of his arm strength, because of everything he has.
Yeah, I just don't think that we can undersell how impressive what Burrow and the Bengals have done is because, like, even Josh Allen. Josh Allen was drafted after Tyrod Taylor led the Bills to the playoffs and broke a really long playoff streak. The Bills are a really good team. They're one of the Super Bowl favorites. They have a great defense. They're really, like, they have Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley, Gabriel Davis had 4 touchdowns last week. He was amazing. And they have a good receiving core. They're just like an overall really good, strong organization right now. And the Bengals are 1 year removed from being the worst team in all of football. Like, it's incredible. That's why I don't know how to properly put it into context what Joe Burrow has already done. It's just amazing.
803-404-6100. That's how you can join us. Let's get back out to the Love Chevrolet phone lines. Art has waited patiently. Art, how you doing this morning? What's on your mind?
Hey, how you doing, guys? I just want to say I feel bad for Deebo Samuels too, but I want to say I'm sick and tired of us people giving Andy Reid all this credit. And all he do is blow game after game after game, going all the way back to Philadelphia with Deuce Staley and Brian Dawkins and all them squads, and choked away the Super Bowl against the Patriots. And they wouldn't have won the Super Bowl if Jimmy Garoppolo wouldn't miss my man in the end zone a couple of years ago. And I remember one year they was up like 30 points against the Colts, and the Colts came back on them. So I'm sick and tired of Andy Reid, getting all this credit for being such a great coach. Everybody like him because he's a fat guy with a mustache and like to eat. That's just my opinion. What y'all think?
There are two sides of that. Like, on the anti-art side, Andy Reid is the first coach to ever take 2 teams to 4 consecutive conference championships. He's got the 5th most wins all time. I mean, mostly the results speak for themselves, but there is something to him dropping the ball in big moments. Like, the Chiefs got way too cute with it at halftime or before halftime. Them trying to score a touchdown and getting tackled inbounds instead of getting any points to close the half when they could have delivered a kill shot was stupid. For a long time, there was the narrative that Andy Reid has the worst clock management. He could put together big-time offenses, but he couldn't manage the clock in big moments. In a way, that was kind of put to bed last week with the ridiculous 13-second maneuvering and scoring 25 points in the last 2 minutes between he and the Bills. So some of those former, like, stereotypes about Andy Reid and what people thought, he's kind of ended just by winning a Super Bowl. That's why people were so happy for him, was getting that monkey off his back and finally getting the Super Bowl. But there is still he is, like, flawed. There are issues with him, and clearly the Chiefs completely dropped the ball yesterday, and there was either no adjustments or they just got figured out yesterday. And you have to put the second half performance on Andy Reid in some way.
803-404-6100. Several of you answering Patrick's question correctly. Cam Newton, Peyton Manning. I didn't realize. I don't know, Patrick. That didn't come into my mind, but that is exactly what it is. Cam Newton versus Peyton Manning several years ago is the Super Bowl. The last time the two number one draft picks that were quarterbacks faced off against each other. So several of you getting that one correct this morning. We'll continue talking about that. We'll get Patrick Pratt's thoughts from the couch. I don't know if any of them are going to involve Brian Kelly, but Patrick, what is going on with Brian Kelly in video?
Oh, my gosh.
If you haven't seen it, I don't even know if I'd suggest go and Googling Brian Kelly in his most recent recruiting video. But we'll get into Patrick's thoughts from the weekend, as well as Brian Kelly is either coming out of his shell or is just a really weird guy, and we never paid attention. We'll talk more about that. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game. Proven quality sleep. It is indeed life-changing sleep. Trust me, when you get a great night of sleep, you wake up rested, refreshed, you're ready to go. You're ready to tackle the day, ready to make big moments happen, like, maybe at work or maybe getting the kids to some kind of practice or maybe just fixing a great dinner. It all starts with a great night of sleep. I put my sleep number setting on 45 this weekend. That's right. If you were wondering, if you barely made it through the weekend because you wondered what Bill Gunner's sleep number setting was, it was 45. That answers that question. And I got great nights of sleep. You can do the same by making the switch to Sleep Number today. A great weekend, a great week, a great day. It all starts with a great night of sleep and Sleep Number adjustability. Don't miss Sleep Number's weekend special. Save $1,000 on the Sleep Number 360 Special Edition Smart Bed plus special financing, but this deal is ending today, so you need to get to a Sleep Number store in order to get this great deal. Two to choose from, one in Irmo on Harbison Boulevard, across from Buffalo Wild Wings, the other in Columbia, 2 nights road across from Sand Hills Mall. You can visit them on the web, sleepnumber.com. Again, right now, don't miss Sleep Number's special weekend special. Save $1,000 on the Sleep Number 360 Special Edition Smart Bed plus special financing, subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. See sleepnumber.com for details. Right now, again, you can save $1,000 on a Sleep Number 360 Special Edition Smart Bed, but the deal ends today. So get to a store and make the switch to Sleep Number today and find out what a great night of sleep is truly like.
Yeah, Andy Reid did not throw the interceptions, but only the second interception I would say was bad. I mean, the first one was a deflected pass that just got swallowed up. So I don't know how much to blame Mahomes for that either. And yeah, Larry, it's really not even close. You could argue that all of the best young quarterbacks in the league are in the AFC. I don't even know who the best one in the NFC is. Kyler?
Coffee.
Thank you. The Christmas lights are a nice touch.
That's weird that you have those. Like, I don't know if you can see my television.
Covered in them? Yep. Same exact things. Same exact light.
Yeah. I saw that earlier. I was trying to think, but now that I got that, actually, I got those from LJ. So I guess we just not a. Yeah, mine will just be a year-round decoration, I reckon. It is cold. I may have to go get a jacket here, or turn the heat up. Nine subscribers away from 1,000. We're almost there. Lot going on, plenty going on this morning, but one of the things that, man, if you haven't seen it, I'm not really sure I should tell you to go see it. It's kind of a look at your own risk type thing. Patrick, what is Brian Kelly doing with these videos? This weird recruiting video, like you've seen the South Carolina does the. I think Clemson does it too. I just don't pay as much attention. But South Carolina does the dress up rehearsal where the kids put on the pads, put on the uniforms, do the glamour shots there and the full gear and everything. Brian Kelly's doing a video now of, like, I guess they go in a room and maybe there's a camera that just, or I guess, are the guys on a
the 360 camera on the platform thing. It's very popular now, but only Brian Kelly is in the videos with the recruits.
And he's doing very strange things, like the one with the quarterback a while back. He had the like the 6-shooter fingers, I guess, or whatever you want to call it. And then he's got another one this weekend, and he's like coming up underneath the armpit of the lineman. I don't even know how to describe it, and it's very strange. Go ahead.
I'm struggling. He does the like the 70s thing where you put your fingers over your eyes, and kind of pull them away. And
it was like Madonna's like Vogue thing,
right?
But with L's, I guess, like the LSU thing. It's painful to watch.
And since this isn't a cable show, I'll stop because there's other thoughts going through my head. It's not good.
But he is embarrassing himself. It is sad. I mean, I know that he's got a daughter that goes to Notre Dame, and she's just got to be so embarrassed by this. And I just don't get it. Like, it's almost a shame that they don't have. My cousin was over last night, who's a huge LSU fan, went to LSU, and texted me about LSU stuff all the time. And I thought if anyone was going to defend it, it was going to be him. And he's basically just defending the recruiting and the turnaround that Brian Kelly's already doing. But his point was, it's just a shame that there's no press conferences and things like that, and opportunities for him to speak like a normal person. And all we see is these little blurbs. But you just don't see anyone else doing things this cringeworthy. Like Lane Kiffin is being a massive troll on social media, but everything's kind of hitting. It's all working, and he's not embarrassing himself. Brian Kelly I think, should be embarrassed.
Well, I guess my question on this is, like, is this Brian? Like, where did this come from? Like, is this what because he didn't, there's nothing, it made me wonder, trying to figure out how exactly to put it into context here, because if you haven't seen the videos, again, it's not like it's not safe for work. You can look at him at your office and your boss can walk by and it's okay. He's going to think you're a little weird, but your boss will, and you'll think Brian Kelly's a little weird, and both of you can have a laugh and go about your day. But this isn't something that we saw from Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly, had the one comment, was it about execution, I believe? Was it Brian Kelly who did that this year, Patrick? And it was a joke and it didn't land well and people kind of got on him. And, the bottom line is Brian Kelly's never been known as a sense of humor guy. And it's like all of a sudden now, not only did he try and do it a little bit at Notre Dame this past year, but now he's really doing it. There was the weird voice inflection. He sounded like Ross in Friends, where Ross tries to fake. I think
phase
Jen,
out the accent. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
my family.
Yeah,
like he did that. Kelly did that at the basketball game. Now he's doing these recruiting videos with these
Notre
kids.
Dame was holding him back.
Is that?
I'm being the
that's-
real guy.
This is his opportunity to prove, like, hey, no, I'm actually the cool guy. Notre Dame's been holding me back the whole time, but now everyone's going to realize how cool and funny I actually am.
Dare to dream.
It's hard to quite understand what is happening there with Brian Kelly LSU. I haven't really looked, Patrick. I don't know. Signing day, for those wondering, signing day is Wednesday. It is the strangest thing. Now, you talk about phasing stuff out, Jen. It is the strangest thing to see what used to be a Christmas day of sorts for college football fans, the National Signing Day that occurs the first Wednesday in February, that this year is February 1st. I think signing day is actually, I am right about that, right, Patrick? Technically, National Signing Day is, okay, I thought I was right and then started questioning myself, but that's kind of crazy, just the fact that we're not 100% sure when National Signing Day is, because things have changed so much. Yeah, February 2nd. I think DQ Smith, who already had committed to South Carolina back in December, I think he is going to sign. The transfers don't have to sign. Maybe there's going to be another guy or two that actually signs their paperwork on Wednesday. South Carolina, to my knowledge, is not expecting any high school players to commit or sign. Again, DQ Smith, I guess I'll make it official, but that's pretty much what I'm expecting. And Patrick, you follow recruiting. It's strange to see how this has been phased out to the point that National Signing Day on Wednesday is irrelevant.
Yeah, completely. And most teams are more concerned with their transfer classes. Like I just brought up LSU. Their class is like 18 nationally, but they've got the number 2 transfer class, and that's really all that matters. And I mean, you look around the conference, Ole Miss doesn't care about anything that's happening on National Signing Day because they just landed Jackson Dart and Michael Trigg, and they got now the number 1 transfer quarterback in the country and a freak of a tight end, and all of the buzz is now about transfers. So this signing day, which used to be one of the great days, would just sit in front of the TV and watch ESPNU all day long, is now completely useless. I don't even know if they air any signing day coverage, do they?
I don't know. Again, you're right. It used to be that signing day was such a huge deal. I mean, we do our special now here in December, in which I hosted with Wes and Chris this past year. But for the first year or two I was at this radio station, we did something on signing day in February, and you'd have the big press conference, you'd have the kind of the big party, and you're right. And, even go further back, wall to wall coverage starting at 6 a.m. And now whatever happens Wednesday is very much an afterthought. After what occurs in December. We'll continue talking about that coming up. There you go. Yes, I know. We've got to hit a break. We've got time constraints on the program. We've got to get to Patrick's thoughts of the week as well. There's plenty we've got to do, but first, Jen's sending us to a break. You're listening to The Early Game on 107.5 The Game. Ooh, I tell you what, golf season. I watched a lot of golf actually over the weekend as well. The Farmers Insurance was really fun out there at Torrey Pines. And this weekend, we've got Pebble Beach. So that means golf season is right around the corner. But if you've been suffering from some back issues, it's time to get those fixed so you can get back on the course. And I've got just the place to go. KC Chiropractic Center. with Dr. Pate Cooper and Dr. Roman Cooper. 40 years combined of experience getting people back to feeling great if they've been suffering from back issues. Right now, research is proving that spinal decompression has excellent long-term effectiveness even after 4 years. So if you've been feeling slowed down lately with some back issues, with some shoulder issues, today is the day to call Dr. Pate and Dr. Roman Cooper with KC Chiropractic Center. 803-796-2424 is how you can get in touch with them. I tell you what, let them try their natural approach. The way they handle their patients draws rave reviews. Our good buddy Chuck on our live stream, he talks about them frequently. He goes and visits Dr. Pate and Dr. Roman Cooper, and he has just absolutely raved about the way they've been able to get him out of pain, get him moving around. Let the doctors at KC Chiropractic Center help you get back to living the life you want to do, the way you want to live with the natural approach before you take the surgical approach. 803-796-2424. That's Dr. Pate, Dr. Roman Cooper at KC Chiropractic Center. Oh, I didn't see that. Hope. I like Bun's thing. Imagine a player being asked to do that. He's talking about the thing. This is on the text line, and not really being able to decline. That is true. Like if you get in there and, all right, man, you want to do our photo shoot together? Brian Kelly says that, and the player's like, I'm good. I'm not.
No, come on, man. It'll be fun.
Yeah, we'll do your the thoughts from the couch to start the 8 o'clock hour. Good.
It's fine. Not much to do it this weekend.
Huh?
That's fine.
Yep.
Not much to do it.
Yep. You can. We'll get into that to start because we only have about 2 minutes left here when we come back. I know what I was trying to do. I was trying to look something up. Wrapping up our number 2 here, January 31st, final day of January. We will roll into the month of February. South Carolina basketball on a 3-game win streak. We'll get more into that in the final hour. Certainly a lot of NFL thoughts from a great weekend that was. We'll continue on with that as well. And Patrick Brett's thoughts from the couch, although this weekend it's more of the thoughts from Nashville as he's gotten up there. How were the Tennessee Titans fans, Patrick? How did they handle this past weekend, or they just moved on?
No, they were just bummed. I was bummed. Last weekend I was pulling for them because I wanted to be in town for a AFC Championship. We were talking about what we were going to do this weekend. I guess mid last week we were talking about what we were going to do this weekend and saying maybe we'll go up to Broadway and just be in the heart of the action when the Titans are playing the AFC Championship. And Joe Burrow had other thoughts.
Certainly.
Completely changed how the weekend was planned.
And then and then you got the Predators as well up there in Nashville. I would imagine a little bit more excitement about that. But yeah, Tennessee Titans. You thought you were hoping, as you said, that you were going to get maybe you were going to be in Nashville and have Kansas City coming to Tennessee, and you'd be maybe not going to the game, but you'd be able to celebrate in the city during a big AFC Championship weekend.
It's just electric to be in a city and be right downtown when a game like that's going on. It's fun to be in that environment.
It certainly would. Well, maybe next year. There's always next year, Patrick. Always next year there. We'll get into more NFC, AFC Championship weekend thoughts. The Super Bowl now set. The Rams and the Bengals 2 weeks from yesterday. We will get that, and we'll get into the Rams and the Bengals more in the coming few days, but we will wrap up thoughts there in the final hour, get back into South Carolina basketball as well. And yeah, we might even get back into that Brian Kelly stuff, because that's baffling. There's some college football news. That's a lot going on. You're listening to Patrick. Go ahead, Jen. Yes? Oh, okay. Sorry. It's the early game on 107.5 again. All right, warm up the coffee now. Well, I just found Austin's soccer schedule for February, for the next few months, and I didn't think we would play every weekend, but it's looking like we're playing every weekend. And it looks like it's 2 games every Saturday. I'm not seeing much of a break here. Coffee.
Yeah, Craig, she's not from Nashville. She's from Maryland and went to USC, but took a job in Nashville back in August. Yeah, Chuck, I'm congested. It's cold. Very cold in Nashville.
Yeah, I'm looking at this schedule now. I was hoping we would have like occasionally a weekend off. That is not the way it looks. Oh wait, there is the 20th, March 20th. Actually, looks like we get the 20th and the 27th off. Okay. $8 a.m. on a Monday morning, the final day of January here in 2022. 1 month down, Patrick, 11 more to go, and the final weekend of January. Pretty strong sports weekend, highlighted by the NFC and AFC championship games. That's what we have really been discussing this morning. The Cincinnati Bengals, your Cincinnati Bengals, right? We're all fans.
America's Cincinnati Bengals. Yeah.
Yes. It turns out we were all Bengals fans. We just were completely unaware of it. Just took Joe Burrow coming into our life, and 27-24 victory this past weekend over the Kansas City Chiefs. We've talked a lot about that. We'll get Patrick Pratt's thoughts from Nashville. He's in Nashville right now. Usually they're from the couch, but we'll get his thoughts on that coming up in just a minute. As well as the Los Angeles Rams rallying with 13 fourth quarter points. Patrick, I thought Jimmy G was going to do it again. And I thought that he was going to make it happen, and we were going to get Jimmy G in a Super Bowl. Nope, he fails to guide the 49ers down the field in the final few minutes. Deebo Samuel playing a really good game, Patrick, and then a lot of people talking about that Odell Beckham Jr., OBJ going over to console Deebo. Who was pretty broken up after that loss there on the bench, and that was a pretty nice moment. I don't know what people necessarily think of Odell Beckham Jr., but certainly kind of an older player in the league now going over to kind of console certainly what has been. This was the breakout year for Deebo, right? This is the year where everybody took notice.
Absolutely. He was ridiculous. He's a household name now. I mean, people knew who he was, and I mean, he went to the Super Bowl year one, was good, but something clicked this year. I think it was just the frequency in which he was handed the ball and what a threat he was. But I mean, he's a household name not because of that. People just know him as a weapon. He's the guy that you can hand it to, you can throw it to, he can return, he can just do anything. You just got to get the ball in his hands. And he's going to be highly paid. He's going to be one of the probably 5 to 10 highest paid players or skill position players in football next year. I know the 49ers have said priority number one this offseason is Peyton Debo.
Yeah, 4 receptions yesterday, 72 yards, the long of 44 yards, 1 touchdown, had 7 rushes yesterday, 26 yards there. But certainly the 49ers not able to do enough. Garoppolo, 16 of 30 yesterday, 232 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception. It was Matthew Stafford, 31 of 45 for 337 yards, 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. And we will get another team, Patrick. This is kind of the strange thing. Last year was Tampa Bay playing in their own stadium in the Super Bowl. This year it will be the Rams in SoFi Stadium playing basically a home game in their Super Bowl appearance. So after never getting that, you get back-to-back years of that.
Even though it's last week and week 18, last two games they played in that stadium have been basically away games. 49ers fans have embarrassed Rams fans both times. I saw pictures of the tailgating scene, and all you could see was red and gold. It's really kind of sad that we have football in LA now, but the fans are just so bad. I don't know if it really came through on TV, but it was louder when the 49ers would make plays. And I know that the Rams tried to do something where they only allowed LA zip codes to buy tickets early on, and it just didn't work. But it is a home game, but I don't think. And Super Bowls, the crowd doesn't ever really matter anyway, but I guess it'll be the big impact will be the mental clocks, I guess. It's cool that they'll play a home game, but I'm not sure it's going to mean anything ultimately because the Bengals will travel out there, I assume, this weekend and spend the whole week up there. I don't really remember what the plan is. I think spend all the Super Bowl weekend in the city, though.
Let's now get a perspective unlike any other. Nobody else weighs in with their weekend thoughts quite like Patrick Brett, who's actually in Nashville. So as opposed to Patrick Brett's weekend thoughts from the couch, it'll be Patrick Brett's weekend thoughts from Nashville. What are your thoughts from the weekend, ranging from Ozark to your drive up to NFL?
Well, the drive does stink, and I was very tired after doing our live show from Sound of Images on Friday, having to drive up. So I got here about 3:00 on Friday, and it was a pretty quiet weekend. I got Polly on my lap right here. We just kind of hung and stayed home and hung with her most of the weekend. Friday night we went out for a little bit, but Saturday was all about went to the farmers market, went to the Italian market, did a little just touring of the city, and then crushed Ozark for a couple hours. The season 4 of Ozark is, I think, maybe started out a little bit slow, but it is electric. I mean, they're very smart for releasing it in one part because people are going to be so upset having to wait until summer or fall or whatever it's going to be when we finally get part 2. We finished it last night. It's so good. I'm amazed that I haven't watched Ozark before last month, and credit to the live stream for urging me to do so because I binged it immediately, and I'm very happy to do so. So that was Saturday. Sunday, after we went to the farmers market, we always like to be creative with the cooking, but we had the game day food. We made a Reuben dip this time. Are you a Reuben guy, Bill?
I'm not. No.
You're a corned beef guy?
No, not.
No, not at all. That's unfortunate.
Not at
Well, yeah, we spent a couple hours. That is unfortunate. We spent a couple hours boiling and simmering the corned beef and mixed it up with some sauerkraut, which I don't really like, and cream cheese. The cream cheese shortage is such an issue, by the way. Have you tried to buy cream cheese recently?
I have not. We did try to buy some for a white chicken chili that we made 2 weekends ago, and I understand this cream cheese shortage is real. It's tough.
You can't find the plain Philadelphia cream cheese. I mean, all they had was like garlic and herb, buffalo style cream cheese, and blueberry, and all these different things. There was only a couple sticks left of the plain store brand cream cheese, so the cream cheese shortage is a huge issue. But yeah, we made the Reuben dip and had some stuff for street tacos with carnitas and things like that, and mostly just munched on the Reuben dip, which was outstanding. And I've officially got my donut place here in Nashville now. No for advertising, but we've got a place that every time I come, we go to this specific donut place, and it is outstanding.
Is there a particular donut?
Well, the cool donut places they do the like big types of donuts, like so they have a huge apple fritter, and that counts as 2. So I always we get a dozen, and like the long what's the one Joe was talking about, Long John's, is that right?
Mm-hmm. Jen, is that right? What do you,
yeah, I think it was Long John's. Yeah. Are they filled?
Say what?
Are they filled, or is it just?
They can be. Usually they're frosted on top, but they can be filled on the inside. But yeah, it's more of a yeast, not a cake.
Because I think we got a couple that would be classified as that, but I mean, I think they were calling them eclairs, but they were like long and flat and square. So we got a couple of those that were filled, apple fritter, bear claws. So because we didn't want to eat 12 donuts, we ended up getting some of the ones that count as 2, even though it's not as much bang for your buck. But they're just so good. Columbia needs a family-owned donut shop like that. I've been saying on the live stream for years. But it was a quiet weekend, and then just settled in for football, and we were all fired up for Joe Burrow. My girlfriend's not really a sports person, but everyone loves Joe Burrow, and I think a lot of people, maybe not that are listening to this show, but on Twitter, the sentiment is shared. She was actively rooting against the Chiefs because of the Mahomes family on TikTok. Bill, you're aware of all this?
Is it Jackson, right?
Yeah, Jackson.
Is that right? Jackson Mahomes. I've never seen this. I don't know what exactly he's done or what these videos are that people have upset him upset.
Well, they are painful to watch. If Brian Jackson Mahomes is equally cringeworthy. However, he is elite. He is worse, but he's also like 21 years old, so it's a little bit more. She was under fire last week for spraying the crowd with champagne after the win. Some people were not happy about it. So a little bit of controversy. I think a lot of people, the mainstream cheering against, or at least like the Twitter crowd that cheers against the Chiefs, a lot of it has to do with Jackson and Brittany.
Okay. All right.
Not so many thoughts on the couch. I didn't watch much TV. We were out and about, just touring the city. I know Nashville like the back of my hand now. This city is great. I'll probably be back here soon, but anyone that hasn't been to Nashville, you're missing out.
It is a good town. I've been up there a couple times. It's been a while. I would have liked. I may try and make the trip up. I can't remember the exact weekend that South Carolina is playing up there against Vanderbilt in football this coming season. But you're right. It's a good little town. It's a lot of fun. So that's Patrick Peretz weekend thoughts from the couch this weekend. They're just in Nashville, and as you heard him say, he has been out and about. He made a nice dip. He found a donut shop, and he enjoyed some NFL championship weekend there. We'll get into more of that. We'll talk more about the NFL championship weekend that was. Also, we'll get back into some college football news. Yeah, Will King hitting me up and asking about Brian Harsin. We've mentioned that. The Austin Davis situation. He's also lost his defensive coordinator, Derek Mason. There's a lot going on with Auburn. Some other football coaching-related news as it pertains to former South Carolina coaches. It looks like Nick Saban has decided maybe he wants a little bit of the former South Carolina staff on his staff. He's already hired Coleman Hutzler and Travaris Robinson. It looks like he's targeting another Gamecock. Go ahead. He could.
I saw that being reported.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about a former Gamecock coach that is still in the SEC may be heading to the Alabama staff. We'll get into that. Georgia making some hires over the weekend, getting the band back together in Athens. Oh, Georgia and Alabama, they love those former South Carolina coaches. We'll talk about that. We'll get into some more college football news. And South Carolina, a 74-63 victory over Texas A&M on Saturday night. We'll get back into that game as well. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
I didn't know you're trying to get out, Bill. We're going to have a super long second segment.
Yeah, I figured I'd go ahead and do that. That way we're not crunched at the very end. We got a little bit more time.
Have a half-hour segment here?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be probably about 20 minutes. Kind of allow us to kind of finish up final thoughts and then. Not bad. Try to do something a little different. Actually do the clocks correctly. Hey Siri, what is the weather today? Does it get warm? You see it gets up to like 72 here on Thursday. There's Jen talking about it right there. Yeah, 60 today, maybe 59 tomorrow, 63 Wednesday, and 73 Thursday. Before 50s again on Saturday, just in time for the soccer tournament. Excellent news. Burr. But it's nice out there this morning.
Correct.
It's nice.
York, no, not a result of the radio part of it, but just maybe just in general in my life, the fine fat girlfriend. But she did not come from the radio, not sports girl.
All right, let's see here. Yeah, it's going to be one of those mornings. Jen? Oh, crap. I need an assistant. Sending emails. I don't know if I'm a fan of sending emails at 10:17 in the morning or 8:17 in the morning.
Why? What makes the time of day influence how you feel about sending emails?
get into more. You can add yourself back, Jen. I thought you just had your camera off. You did that the entire time. Yeah,
No.
I turned my cameras off just to cut the spot.
Right, but I couldn't cut it. I couldn't put it back on.
Really?
Because my
you?
camera
Are
was,
you not in the? Are you not in the admin thing?
I don't think so. No, I'm
Can you
not that
see it?
important. So,
Can you see how many people are watching on your phone?
do I have what?
Can you see how many people are watching?
I see that there are 3 guests, but I guess I can see at the top. How
Then
many
you
are
should be
watching.
able. You should be an admin. Maybe it's just the mobile version, but
Maybe it's on my
I mean,
iPad.
I'll be honest. I thought the entire time you were just working, you hadn't gotten back on the live stream. I didn't know that.
I just thought I'm just gonna wait and see. I'm not wanted. That's all right.
No, I was sitting here. I'd been watching, and that's why I just said something to you, or I forget what I just said. Saw your text message. I was like, well, you get back on. We didn't put you in timeout.
Nope, because now see, I can turn the camera off, and I can turn it back on, but that's all I could do.
But you can't add yourself?
I don't think so.
I'll have to look at it tomorrow. See.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Okay. Well.
Yeah.
But how do you get on? Oh, you just so you can get in. But yeah, you get in all like you put yourself in earlier, didn't you?
When I initially logged in.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the only option, I didn't have an option to leave, or it just gives me end. I don't know. I'll have to look at it. But I didn't see where I could do anything.
Sorry, Jen.
I said I have something to harass you guys about. I mean, come on. It's Monday.
Well, I've been looking at my phone. Also, I was like, I turned your camera off. I was like, I wonder if she meant to send that to somebody else.
No. It's okay. But I have been working. I'm trying to get some podcast stuff up.
Yeah, see.
People don't really need to see me anyway. It's all right. Put it back in.
(803-404-6100). That is how you can weigh in this morning if you choose to do so. Several of you weighing in on cream cheese and sauerkraut. Bun says worst thing I've ever heard on this show.
I mean, I don't like sauerkraut either, but overall, it's just what goes into a Reuben. It was plus cream cheese for the dip. It was corned beef, cream cheese, Swiss cheese, Thousand Island, and sauerkraut.
Have you done instead of a Reuben, it's a Rachel? And that's
What's that?
you don't use the corned beef, but you use turkey with the coleslaw. It's really
no, I've
good.
done. I've done replacing sauerkraut with coleslaw, but I love corned beef, so.
Well, I like sauerkraut. So turkey and sauerkraut instead. That's pretty good.
And we had a sourdough. It was all in a sourdough bowl. So my girlfriend cut the middle open and baked it all in the sourdough bread. It was.
Oh, that
delicious.
sounds really good.
Yeah, it was really good.
We need a cooking segment.
Mm-hmm.
We definitely need a cooking segment.
I think we do that kind of. That is we filter that in with the liver pudding, with the grits, with what else have we discussed in recent weeks? We did do a chicken vlog this weekend, and I think we do a good job covering the food aspect on this program, unlike any other program here on 107.5 The Game.
Award winning.
Coming up on Thursday, we will return. It'll be the return of Kerry Tharp, Darlington Raceway president, for our annual pick segment. Jen, have you seen Patrick? Have you seen the Coliseum, the Memorial Los Angeles? It's been completely paved. I'm kind of. This is a very strange thing. If you haven't seen it, you can Google the. I don't know if they ever do this. Like, how does this kind of work? I guess you tear up the grass, you pave it, then you tear up the asphalt and you replant grass. Does that seem right?
Pave paradise and put up a parking lot. No, I don't know. I'm not sure how they're gonna to do that, but that's a lot of money to invest. But I mean, they're really trying to work to bring in new viewers. I mean, the entertainment aspect on this thing, as far as the artists that are going to be performing before the show or before the race. But yeah, they've got to just take it back out.
That'll actually start this weekend. So, like I said, we will get Kerry Tharp in on Thursday for the start of our usual Thursday morning NASCAR picks. The reigning picks champion is myself. I don't even know who was second. Don't even care who was second. Doesn't really matter. Yep, that might have been who was last speaking right there or hitting the buttons. Got another one there you want to use there?
I was not last.
Okay, yeah, that's true. Reggie Anderson is
I think I was
generally
second. I think
second
Kerry
to
was
last. Got it. Yeah.
third,
Okay. Yeah. So, but no, it's interesting. If you haven't seen the pictures of it, let's see, who is this? Patrick on the text line sent us a picture of from NASCAR.com of what it looks like. It's kind of insane, kind of crazy to look at. Something that's certainly very, very interesting, and we'll get going with that again this coming weekend.
I kind of have the answer. It says, I'm reading an article right now from Spectrum News about this, and it says workers added over 9,000 cubic yards of dirt and crushed rock, then put down 3 acres of plastic sheeting, and then 3 acres of plywood, and then a local paving company smeared several inches of asphalt across the entire floor of the Coliseum to create a racetrack, banked at a precise 2.5 degrees.
And that'll make it definitely easier to get that back up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Have they ever done anything like that? Like made a stadium that's not already a racetrack into a racetrack?
Not that I'm aware of.
Will the sightlines be better in a football stadium than they would normally be in a NASCAR track? I mean, there's not really a bad seat in the Coliseum, is there?
I wouldn't think so. I mean, I would think that's, and for the size track that it is, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think
quarter mile track.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So really about anywhere higher up, is always a little bit better. I don't know. It's gonna be fun. I'm so excited about that race, and who's gonna be calling it? They're gonna have on the broadcast. They're gonna have, of course, Mike Joy, but then also Clinton Boyer and Tony Stewart's gonna be on for that. That should be a lot of fun.
It'll be something to be interesting again. It'll be the Clash being moved from Daytona International Speedway's road course to a purpose-built short track inside the 77,000-seat Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum, which has played host to some of the greatest events in sports. This is what I'm reading from the release. NASCAR will hold the race, and likely it'll be obviously 2 weeks before, which is this weekend, before the Daytona 500 to build hype for the season and launch the next gen car, which is scheduled to race beginning this year. So we'll get more into that with Kerry Tharp and let Jen and Kerry break down that new generation car. Although I guess if you want,
it's not my car.
I was going to say the new gen car, but
love that
point. So that'll be Thursday at 7:40 as we do our usual NASCAR segment. 803
$68 you can get into the Clash of the Coliseum.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
$68 then.
I think it's Thursday at 8:45 if they're wanting to mark their calendars.
Okay, yeah, we're going to 8:45. I'm sorry. So we'll get into that. Some college football news over the weekend. We talked a little bit about it in hour number one. The interesting news coming out of Auburn with respect to Austin Davis, who was hired as the offensive coordinator for Auburn. Not a lot of specifics as to what exactly is happening here, but it sounds like he never started actually working, or if he did, he worked very shortly and then left and has not come back. And now, according to multiple outlets, and this is kind of started really developing more as a story yesterday, Patrick, but according to multiple different outlets, as this story continues to develop this morning, he's not coming back, and Auburn is going to be back on the market for a new offensive coordinator. This after they've already lost defensive coordinator Derek Mason to Oklahoma State. And we kind of talked about it. Brian Harsin right now. You talk about Brian Kelly at LSU doing really wacky, wild things. Brian Harsin's kind of having his own tumultuous offseason right now with assistants, firing Mike Bobo, making this hire. Now Austin Davis looks like it's not going to work out, and also losing Derek Mason.
I mean, that program is an absolute disaster right now. They had a really disappointing season. They're going to have a new quarterback. Their defensive coordinator left for what should be a much worse job. They have a offensive coordinator that doesn't even want to work there. Did he show up in Auburn? And we're not even sure if he ever had been to Auburn and worked a day and then just left, or just never came back from Seattle at all.
I haven't gotten information if he actually showed up. Like, did he put anything in his office at all? Did he put up some pictures of the family? According to Nathan King of 24/7 Sports, all he has said is that new Auburn offensive coordinator Austin Davis has been away from the program for a week, and there's dwindling optimism about the situation. Things can change, of course, but as of right now, he is not expected to return to the staff. I mean, it just sounds like he got to Auburn. And again, I never heard complaints about Brian Harsin as a coach, Patrick. Like, never really heard anybody complain and say that, he's a bad coach or he's tough to work for. But it feels like basically what happened here is that he got there and either didn't want to recruit, didn't want to be part of the program, or as you mentioned, doesn't want to, doesn't like working for Brian Harsin.
Well, yeah, I don't know if it's a personality thing where Brian Harsin might be difficult to work with, or like Craig just suggested on live stream, they all know Harsin's going to be gone next season and don't want to be hung out to dry. Maybe they just know, like, after year one, this guy's clearly not cut out for SEC football. He's going to go running back to the West Coast and Boise or whatever school will take him after that, and nobody wants to join a sinking ship right now. I just don't know what it is. They cannot be happy at all in Auburn right now.
Well, I think.
Who's even an offensive coordinator candidate right now? Who could possibly take this job? Nobody's going to want it.
Well, Brian Harsin is supposed to be an offense. Here's the other part of that. Brian Harsin is supposed to be an offensive mind. That was kind of the deal with the hiring of Mike Bobo that was strange last year when you brought him in and his offensive philosophies, although both they hadn't worked together, but they were familiar with each other from their time at Colorado State. And still you had a meshing of philosophies there with the offense that Harsin ran, or that was credited with running at Boise State, and then what he was going to try and do at Auburn, and you bring in Mike Bobo. Again, there was a relationship there from Colorado State and from Boise State when both had been out there and played against each other, or coached against each other, I should say. But how that kind of worked out, it obviously did not mesh well. He brought Mike Bobo fired after 1 year, and we'll tell you where he ended up here in just a second. But you've got that going on. Now you get Austin Davis coming in, and I don't know. I don't know if it was a situation where he gets in and he turns out that he's not going to be allowed to do the things that he initially wanted to do, that he's limited. Maybe, again, recruiting is not for everybody. And, we kind of talked about that. There was a lot of rumors that Joe Brady didn't like the recruiting aspect of things at LSU, that he wants to be a ball coach, so to speak. He just wants to call plays and work on X's and O's. And having to text message recruits and go on the road recruiting is not for him. He didn't really enjoy it. And that's why this year there wasn't really an interest in going back to the collegiate level after what happened with the Carolina Panthers.
Well, but Brian Harsin came from college. It's not like he doesn't know what recruiting's all about. It's just a different level when you're recruiting in the SEC and you have to recruit against Alabama and LSU and all these schools versus, I don't really know what the vibe was like at Boise, but I mean, you're one of the elites of the group of five, and you can kind of have your pick of the under the radar guys, and it's more, I don't know, is it more about development than actually recruiting at a high level? I don't know why it would have been a surprise to him.
You're talking about for Austin Davis, though, coming
well,
from
Austin,
this.
Yeah, but hasn't Austin Davis worked in college before?
No, I believe he's only. I
mean, he's young. I know he's young. I remember him from the NFL, but he never actually played.
Yeah, he's young.
Yeah, never.
Yeah, and so it is a little bit of a shock, and that's part of it. That was Sterling Lucas, who was just hired by South Carolina to replace Mike Peterson. That was kind of the discussion about him. How will he adapt, and how will he learn to recruit? Not that he needs to learn to recruit, but how much will he enjoy doing that? There is a level of that. I mean, anybody that's ever been in sales, rejection, and then you start dealing with 15, 16, 17-year-olds. That's who you're selling to. If that's your market base. And look, as we said, Brian Kelly is finding an interesting way to go about doing it. If you haven't seen the Brian Kelly videos, you can go check that out. So certainly something there.
Do you think Brian Kelly genuinely just doesn't understand how cringeworthy what he's doing is? Does he think it's cool? Or is he
definitely thinks it's cool. He definitely thinks it's cool. There's zero doubt about that. And apparently somebody is telling him that, yes, it is working.
They can't be.
Yeah, somebody is informing him there that it is definitely working.
Or just any publicity is good publicity. And at the end of the day, players are saying, wow, this guy's really corny and cringy, but he can coach football, so it doesn't matter.
How you keep winning football games, nobody's going to really argue with you. When you start losing, then a lot of this stuff, especially from LSU fans, will start being brought back up very quickly. So we'll see that. If you haven't go see those videos. Mike Bobo, I mentioned I was going to tell you where he ended up. It's interesting. I think we all saw this coming. The Georgia Bulldogs have hired Mike Bobo. This happened on Saturday, made it official. The Bulldogs hiring Mike Bobo to be a part of their analytics staff. He will be an offensive analyst. So Mike Bobo, Kirby Smart, Will Muschamp, all back together again now over in Georgia. Georgia also this weekend hiring Brian McClendon from Miami. He will be their new wide receivers coach. So Patrick, it's kind of interesting because you see Georgia now. They're going to have Muschamp. They got obviously Bobo. They're going to have McClendon. Alabama has hired Coleman Hutzler and Travaris Robinson. And according to multiple reports out of Alabama, Alabama is targeting Eric Wolford as their next offensive line coach, or a guy that they want to come in and replace Doug Marrone on the offensive line as the coach. And that is a move that seems to be imminent as early as middle of this week. So it would be interesting that you see Will Muschamp's most of his staff essentially ending up at either Georgia or Alabama.
Well, I mean, Will Muschamp, we know that he's respected by other coaches around college football, and we were always impressed by his ability to build a staff. So it really shouldn't be much of a surprise, especially all the guys going back to Georgia, considering all of them went to Georgia, right? Or most of them went to Georgia. All the guys on the staff at this point are Georgia guys, and if Georgia wants them, then sure. And that's just kind of how SEC coaching always has been. I mean, everybody from the Saban tree is friends with each other, so eventually they always come back to each other. I saw a lot of people talking on Twitter about it. How I don't know if they're like salty that the Muschamp staff is basically all back together at Georgia, but I don't know why it should be a surprise to anyone.
It'll be interesting to see how it all kind of continues to work out. 803-404-6100. We'll get back into some college basketball talk as we roll along. Again, South Carolina 74-63 victory over Texas A&M on Saturday night. Their third win in a row. They moved to 4-4 in conference, and they will actually stay. I think they stayed in Texas last night, and they are flying to Mississippi today instead of flying back from College Station to Columbia, only to have to turn around and fly out today to Starkville. They stayed there, had a practice, and then we'll head over to Starkville today for tomorrow night's game. We'll get into that, get back into some NFL championship weekend final thoughts from Patrick Perrett. You're listening to The Early Game on 107.5 The Game. I heard Jen in my ear say we needed to break, but I thought we only had 2 breaks this hour. So if this is the final segment, we'll have a pretty long final segment. Be good.
Polly's extremely sleepy right now.
Jen, was that our last break?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's what I thought. I heard you say in my phone, in my ear, we need to break.
I did. Just was a little off in my timing, but that's okay. Now you guys get to chat for a long time.
Yeah, we'll do it.
It is our last break, though. A little too much multitasking. All right, heading back in. But I do like how you jumped when I said to do so. That was awesome.
I pay attention. Given that I'll be back in tomorrow, I didn't want to get hit again.
I got to bring my gun back. Excellent.
Oh, your Nerf gun.
Nerf gun. Yes,
gun.
Nerf gun.
Nerf gun.
Nerf.
Unbelievable. You can always follow along right now on the Buford Lending live stream, where the is it the show pet Polly?
Yeah, she's the mascot.
Is making her appearance there on the live stream, sitting in Patrick's lap, enjoying, hanging out, relaxing as Patrick and I get you through. Jen talking about shooting you with a Nerf gun, although she left out the Nerf portion of it, and probably concerning, but it's actually a Nerf gun. So you can go to youtube.com, search 1075 The Game, click and subscribe. According to Hope earlier, we are just 9 subscribers away from 1,000. So you can be that lucky 1,000 subscriber this week. And if you are the lucky 1,000, Jen will personally tell you thank you. She will give a personalized thank you to you on the live stream.
That's worth more than gold.
That is right. That is right. 803-404-6200.
It should be difficult to get 9 more by the end of the show, by the way.
By the end of the show?
Yeah, I mean,
well, you need people to. I mean, people. It is Monday. It is 8:42. People might actually be trying to do some work and actually get something accomplished on a Monday morning. I can understand if you can't just magically stop what you're doing. If you're listening to us, just can't magically stop what you're doing. Go to youtube.com, search, click, and subscribe to the 1075 The Game page, the Buford Lending live stream as is. But maybe you can do it this evening. Get a little bit of an opportunity. South Carolina 74-63 victory Saturday night. Patrick, they will take on Mississippi State tomorrow night. But I think the big part of this, we kind of talked about it. Jermaine Cousineau, 29 minutes, most likely it's definitely his best game in the last 2 months. 13 points, 6 assists. He did have the 4 turnovers. South Carolina as a team, by the way, only had 14 turnovers, which was pretty sound given the way that they've turned the ball over in the past few weeks. But they were able to kind of hold on there down the stretch. There was a few things that happened there as the game kind of went down to the final minute and a half. But part of it is Jermaine Cousineau being able to make some free throws, 13 points, 4 of 11 from the field, 6 assists and 4 turnovers. And James Reese, you mentioned it, kind of the leader of this team. They go as he goes. 20 points from James Reese on Saturday night, 34 minutes played. He was 5 of 9 from the field, 3 of 5 from three-point range, and 7 of 8 from the foul line. So you get the contributions that you need. Keyshawn Bryant with a solid game, 12 points and 7 rebounds. Eric Stevenson, 13 points and 6 rebounds. What you would label the big four comes through for you.
Is James Reese the best player on the team? Would you say that?
Yeah. Yes.
Like not even close at this point. It just does feel like an interesting team where he's kind of the heartbeat of the team, and he has led the team in scoring probably the most. But I don't know. There's just times where, there's times where Eric Stevenson goes off and looks like he's the best player on the team. There's times where, I don't know, Devin Carter has looked like the best player on the team in certain games, but just not consistent enough. And James Reese has basically been the rock all season long.
I don't know, most talented, most consistent. I think what you said, being the rock all year long, he's by far been the most consistent player for them. And he's the guy, because Eric Stevenson, we've seen, has the tendency to come out and have a very bad shooting night. He can also perform like he did the other night, where he was 3 of 5 from three-point range, 4 of 7 in the game, and his stat line was solid. He had 6 rebounds. I did turn it over 3 times. But Stevenson can be hit or miss. James Reese, though, has seemed to be pretty consistent. It's coming at a good time, as Devin Carter, again, struggling right now, still a little banged up. There's 5 points on Saturday night, 1 of 6 shooting, and only played 13 minutes.
Yeah, and I don't know, the leadership. Reese just seems like kind of that guy. And you're playing. Are they playing their best basketball right now? I probably so. It's nice that Couisnard's feeling comfortable. I don't know if that's going to be kind of what we can expect going forward, but you do have a lot of opportunity going forward. I don't know what South Carolina needs to do to get themselves back in the tournament discussion. What would it be? Win this next one, and then do you win both of the games next week? If you get back-to-back ranked wins, are they back in the tournament discussion?
They'll be on the bubble. It's going to come down to the
5 in
net.
a row.
Yeah, it's gonna come down to the net rankings and where they sit at their 95th here as we enter this week. You get the game against Mississippi State.
If they win the next 3, do you start to see them on bracketology?
Well, when you say you start to see them on bracketology, if they win the next 3, that'll include a win against Kentucky, and Kentucky is going to be top 10 today whenever the polls come out after absolutely blitzing Kansas in Lawrence this past weekend. So, Patrick, Tennessee lost on the road at Texas this weekend, a 1-point game there. James missed a 3-pointer at the end that would have won in the ball game. They were 18th on Saturday. I think they'll stay in the polls. If you beat Tennessee, though, they'll probably fall out next week. But yeah, I would think if you throw in, if you say Kentucky, if you beat Kentucky next Tuesday night, I'm thinking that, yes, the answer to your question is that they will have themselves firmly in the mix. I would imagine the net ranking would jump into the 50s if you win at Mississippi State, which I believe would be a quad 1 victory. Tennessee and Kentucky both would be quad 1s. That would give you 4 straight quad 1 victories, which is definitely something that's going to make the resume look very good.
Because I don't know what it's going to take. That would definitely get the fan base fully checked back in. I don't know if this Texas A&M win gets people re-interested, if they've already checked out on this year. This wasn't something that makes them say, oh, okay, maybe there's more to this team than I thought. But if people were on the bubble, it at least keeps their attention a little bit. I don't know how much this changes the opinion of people, but if you can go in, pick up 2 road wins in a row against 2 pretty good teams, and then come back next weekend with a big in-state or in-town 5-star, watching the game, beat Tennessee, maybe get a decent crowd there, and then go ahead and beat Kentucky too. Do you think the attendance will be solid next Saturday?
It should be. I don't know with this fan base and how they've been, but it should be. It should be, and we'll see. Let's see what happens on Tuesday night, and kind of go from there. Let's get out to the Love Chevy phone lines. Stan has waited patiently. Wants to talk a little Gamecock men's basketball. Stan, how you doing this morning? What's on your mind?
Hey, not much, man. You guys piggyback what I'm saying. I think this is the biggest week of the year. This is the biggest week of the year. You got momentum. You won a road game against A&M tomorrow night, man, could really set up the rest of February. Whether or not you on the bubble or not, it's just a matter of the turnovers. If they can really somehow, if Jermaine Couisnard or whoever, Jacoby Wright, can somehow stabilize the point guard position to get anywhere reasonably, cut down on the turnovers. You got a shot. Looking at the SEC, they're ranked the number 1 conference in the country. They had a great weekend with in the Big 12 Challenge. You just hope, maybe Bill, I don't want to be revisionist. You just hope that games like the 2 losses in December to Clemson and a Coastal Carolina, maybe that change. Hopefully that doesn't change the perspective. But you absolutely should have a great crowd, somewhat of a great crowd. If you win tomorrow night and you got all week, that's 2 big road wins, and you come in and you play Tennessee, which, I think they're going to still be top 25. For a Saturday game at 1 o'clock, it's going to be on CBS. I'll be at the game. I just think sometimes saying, look, I know you want to get rid of somebody, but, man, you know what? Take the ride while we got it, man. We got so much momentum right now. And, that's all I got to say, man. You guys have a good Monday.
Appreciate the phone call. Mississippi State has lost 3 of their last 4. Now, quite frankly, 3 of the last 4 have been on the road. They lost on the road at Florida by 8. They did beat their rival Mississippi on Saturday, January 22nd by 18, but then lost the last Tuesday night on the road to Kentucky in overtime, and then absolutely were thumped this weekend on the road at Texas Tech, 76-50 in Lubbock. So they will be home for this game. And look, Mississippi State, they're kind of, we talked about it, Patrick, this SEC right now as a whole. You got Auburn, who's undefeated in the conference. You got Kentucky right behind them at 6-2. After that, a lot of teams, and Mississippi State's one of them, anywhere from 5-3 to 3-5. And Mississippi State 4-3. Their game against Missouri back on January 5th was postponed. So it is a big game, but it's a Mississippi team that's playing really well. I know they've lost 3 or 4, but they've lost to 3 pretty good teams, and especially the last 2 is Kentucky is starting to kind of, I think, turn a corner. And I've watched Texas Tech a couple times this year. Texas Tech is really, really good.
Because I do think nationally people kind of try to avoid giving the SEC credit as a basketball conference. I think you've been saying most of the year that the SEC might be the most talented and deepest conference in college basketball. Do you think nationally they're going to start getting that credit now because of the performance this weekend?
Maybe. I mean, you've had some teams that have kind of been up and down. You've got Auburn, who's very good, and Auburn is a legitimate national title contender, and certainly a team you expect to see in the Final Four at this point in time. Kentucky, the way they played on Saturday night, certainly with Savion Wheeler and Oscar Sheetway, they look like a team that can certainly make a case as a Final Four contender. LSU's been on a little bit of a losing streak of late, and they got beat on the road by TCU on Saturday. Alabama is a team that had been struggling, but kind of turned it around and beat number 4 Baylor on Saturday, and then Tennessee losing. Arkansas blew out West Virginia as well. So, some of those games went the way of the SEC, some did not. But I don't know if there's another team outside of Auburn and Kentucky that is considered an Elite Eight-esque type team. Arkansas could make a run. Tennessee could make a run. Alabama, LSU, all could. But are they good enough? There's been too many ups and downs, inconsistencies from those teams so far this year.
So are you saying that you put, Kansas and Baylor, and then you put Texas Tech in that conversation? You think they're an Elite 8S team?
Yes. Yeah. Texas Tech is long. They are extremely physical. New first-year head coach there, and that's a good basketball program. That is right now a team. They're sitting there at 16-5 on the season, 5-3 in Big 12 play, and yeah, I would have Texas Tech right now. Depending on, I actually got into a little bit of bracketology this past weekend, just kind of glancing ahead and seeing where certain teams were at, and I would, depending on their draw, I could see them having a chance to get into the Elite Eight, definitely even the Final Four.
Okay. Well, I would like to see the SEC get more respect. It's just they really do appear to be just extremely deep. Like anyone can really. I guess Auburn will be the heavy favorite to win the SEC tournament, but there's probably 5 or 6 teams you wouldn't be surprised if they won it.
In the SEC?
Yeah. Unless you think Kentucky and Auburn are just in one game, anything can happen. I mean, Kentucky has dropped a handful of games already.
Yeah, to finish this, I mean, Auburn and Alabama play tomorrow night. I think it's tomorrow night, 9:00. That'll be a really good game. The game will be in Tuscaloosa. Auburn's already beaten them in Auburn.
No, the game's in Auburn, isn't it?
Oh, I thought it was.
Yeah, I think it's in Auburn.
Okay, I thought it was. Maybe you're right. Maybe they won the game in Tuscaloosa, and then they get the game tomorrow night on the Plains. Either way, it should be really good. You're right. It is in Auburn tomorrow night, 9:00. Auburn and Alabama. Yeah, the SEC certainly right now cruising along in basketball, but South Carolina right in the mix, 4-4, 13-7 overall after their win this past weekend over Texas A&M. It'll be Mississippi State tomorrow night for the Gamecocks, and we will break that down as well as talk more NFL. Great time for the NFL. We didn't get into a whole bunch of Tom Brady stuff today, Patrick, so prepare yourself accordingly tomorrow.
Well, the announcement should be coming soon. Whether it's from him or Adam Schefter continuing to double down. Schefter's not scared, though.
Schefter's not scared. Oh, that's the motto of our program, never scared. We appreciate you tuning in today. We will catch up with you tomorrow. He's Patrick Brett. She's Jen Jensen. I'm Bill Gunner. It's early.
All right. Gotta get packing. And
had our little thing at the top of the first segment.
Let's get this out of here. All right.
I emailed.
I'm gonna get packing and get on the road.
Yep, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.
I'll see you in the morning. Sounds good. Y'all take care. Everybody have a great